Fong Chen was lying on a pile of rubble, surrounded by steel bars. Su On Yuen held a scythe in his hand and approached Fong Chen step by step. It was unknown when the heavy rain had stopped, but the surroundings were silent. Cough, cough. Fong Chen clutched his chest, feeling a little indignant. He had actually lost. Fong Chen turned his head to look at Shi Shang, who was still standing there without any reaction. Sister Yu Xia. Miao Miao shook Shi Shang's hand and sounded a little anxious. Probably because she was afraid of Shi Shang, she looked a little pitiful. What are you doing? Shi Shang glared at Miao Miao. Miao Miao pointed at Fong Chen, pursed her lips and didn't speak. You won't die. Why are you so anxious? She dared to use an iron sword, so Fong Chen definitely had a trump card. Miao Miao didn't dare to speak under Shi Shang's glare. She could only look over there nervously. Fong Chen did have a trump card. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't use it, but now, he had to use it. He quickly took out a black card. The black card swiped in the air in front of him, and the whole space seemed to be torn apart, expanding into a circular black hole. The black hole pushed towards Su On Yuen like lightning, and Su On Yuen's figure suddenly disappeared into the black hole. After Su On Yuen's figure disappeared, the black card in Fong Chen's hand broke into pieces and slipped from his hand. This kind of card could only be used once. The black hole didn't destroy Su On Yuen. It just sent him to another place. Fong Chen's eyes were a little regretful, but at the same time, he was relieved. It hurt. His butt hurt. The place where he sat was a pit full of corrosive water. He felt like his butt was going to disappear. Fong Chen took off his jacket and stood up shakily. Instinctively, he looked at the person in the distance. Miss you, it's not a good habit to leave someone in the lurch. No one answered him. Just when Fong Chen thought that she had left, a faint voice came from the side. Aren't you still alive? What are you blabbering about if you're not dead? What was the point of leaving someone in the lurch? He was lucky that she didn't finish him off. Fong Chen was furious. What was she talking about? If he was really dead, would he still be blabbering? That's because I was lucky. Luck is also a part of strength. But usually, luck belonged to the male and female protagonists. It had nothing to do with cannon fodder like them. Fong Chen was lucky this time. When Su On Yuen came back, he would be in trouble. Of course, Shi Shang wouldn't tell him this. Fong Chen was speechless. If she didn't want to save him, so be it. He was already used to it. He wouldn't blame her. Where's that woman? Shi Shang took out a flashlight from his space and shone it in the direction of where AI Mi was standing. She ran away. Fong Chen. Was this woman a treasure bag? How could she take out everything? Fong Chen came down from the ruins. His butt hurt. He grimaced and asked, "Do you have a space card?" He had only seen a space card once. But that card was in the hands of a high-level person. He didn't have the guts to snatch it. Shi Shang suddenly turned the flashlight to Fong Chen's face and shone it directly into his eyes. What are you doing? Fong Chen dodged to the side. Can you afford to pay for my blindness? Shi Shang replied calmly, if you can't afford to pay for it, you can just kill him. Fong Chen. Couldn't he have a proper conversation? You haven't answered my question. Shi Shang moved the flashlight away and shone it around. His voice was still calm. If you think I have it, then I have it. If you think I don't, then I don't. As long as you're happy. Fong Chen. What was the point of being happy? He wanted to be alone. Ouch. His butt hurt. Miao Miao, help me up. Fong Chen reached out to Miao Miao. His fingers touched Miao Miao's raincoat. There was still some rainwater on it. Fong Chen reached out and a sizzling sound was heard. Ouch. It hurt. Brother Fong Chen. Miao Miao took off her raincoat and held Fong Chen up. Fong Chen just wanted to find a place to check if his butt was still there. He felt his legs trembling. Asterisk Fong Chen. I just want to see if my butt is still there. System. Someone is driving. Feng Chen. Why am I driving? System. You said but. Feng Chen. You don't have a but? System. I don't have one. Feng Chen. Chapter 861. Feng Chen hopped around and found a place to rest. He ran to the back of the room to massage his butt. However, he realized that he could not see what was going on behind him. This was King awkward. There was a woman outside, a young girl. What should he do? Brother Feng Chen? You haven't finished applying the medicine yet? Sister Yu Xia has finished all the food. Feng Chen was speechless. This pervert even took away his food. Meow meow. Feng Chen said weakly, Can you do me a favor? Meow meow stood outside and nodded seriously. Brother Feng Chen, what is it? Feng Chen scratched the wall. How could he say this? He was a virgin. How could he say something like this? It's okay. Feng Chen sighed. He had to do it himself. Feng Chen shuddered at the thought of leaving something untreated. Wait, meow meow. Brother Feng Chen? He wants you to apply medicine for him. Shishang's voice sounded from outside. There was a hint of disdain in his voice. Ignore him. He had been waiting for a long time. This was asking for his life. This woman was indeed vicious. I can help Brother Feng Chen. Feng Chen wanted to give Meow Meow a hug. This was what a normal person would think. This was the kindness that a young girl should have. His injury is on his butt. Do you want to see his butt? Then, forget it. Brother Feng Chen, you can do it yourself. Feng Chen was speechless. Didn't you say you would help me? Meow meow, don't listen to her nonsense. Meow meow. Meow meow. Feng Chen called out a few times, but no one responded to him. Feng Chen was furious. Yu Xia, I won't let you off. Feng Chen spent a few hours inside. He felt his way around to remove the corroded flesh before he could use the healing card. If he did not have the healing card, he would have died. Ever since this incident, the atmosphere between Feng Chen and Shishang, which had eased a little, became tense again. They both disliked each other and secretly wanted to kill each other. Of course, Feng Chen wanted the iron sword more. After all, his original goal was to get the iron sword. The atmosphere in this team was very strange. Ever since the female lead escaped, Shishang could only kill time by leveling up and torturing Feng Chen. But when she leveled up, that idiot white chess would secretly level up as well. Each of them leveled up by 1 star as if they were competing to see who was better. In the blink of an eye, he had leveled up from 4 stars to 8 stars. The highest level of players had reached level 80. Feng Chen had never seen anyone who could level up so quickly. This world was about to be ruined. Just like Feng Chen had said, level 80 players only knew how to kill. They had completely lost all human emotions. They were like machines that only knew how to carry out orders. Their orders were to kill all living things. By the time they reached the 8-star world, the first batch of players who had entered would probably have already died. Anyway, Shishang didn't see any familiar names on the ranking list. Even Su Anyuan's name wasn't there. She was ranked first, followed by White. The 3rd to 5th place were all world bosses. Gathering all the world bosses wasn't a dream. Feng Chen was ranked 10th. Feng Chen couldn't play Shishang's high-class game, but he coveted Shishang's sword, so he followed Shishang all the time. When they fought, he could pick up the scraps. Feng Chen felt that his worldview had been refreshed over and over again. Every time, he opened the door to a new world. He never knew that this game could be played like this. There seemed to be something wrong. Brother Feng Chen. Meow Meow passed the food to Feng Chen. I secretly left this for you. Sister Yu Xia doesn't know. Feng Chen came back to his senses and looked over at Shishang. She was holding stones that he didn't know where she got them and was throwing them out one by one. At this time, the ground outside was full of worms. They were white and tender, curled up into a ball. They looked delicious. Bah! Delicious my ass. These things also ate people. If people ate enough of them, they could even evolve wings. It didn't matter if others had seen them or not. He had never seen such worms. And at this time, that woman was provoking the worms outside. She was crazy. Is there something wrong with her brain? Fong Chen tapped his temple. Miao Miao glanced over at Shi Shang and answered seriously, Sister Yuxia said it was boring. Fong Chen's mouth twitched. She was so bored that she would torture other people's worms? That was enough. Every time a world leveled up, strange things would appear in this world. These worms appeared when the world was 6-star. Their attack pattern was a bit like those mushrooms. Now, the Dark Elves were at the bottom of the food chain. Shi Shang saw the Dark Elves being chased all over the sky by a kind of bone bird. The bone bird was very appropriate for its name. It was a skeleton with no flesh and no hair. It was completely unknown how it survived. Fong Chen said that it was a spirit bird, something that only appeared in the spirit world. Shi Shang was provoking the worms alone, while Fong Chen and Miao Miao were talking. "You Xia!" Fong Chen suddenly called out to Shi Shang. "What? Someone's coming. If they're coming, go kill them." "Why are you calling me?" Shi Shang rolled his eyes. His hands were sore and he didn't want to kill anyone. She just wanted to kill that idiot Mu Bai. But that idiot was very cunning. Every time she was about to find him, he would do something. By the time she went over, he was already gone. "No, come over and see." Fong Chen stood at the opposite window, his voice urgent. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows and walked over to Fong Chen. From Fong Chen's direction, he could see a large group of people coming from afar. It was really a large group. There were at least 1,000 people. The people in this world had been released several times, so there were actually a lot of people. But they had never seen such a large group of people. Shi Shang leaned against the window, his expression unchanged. This world's group has been formed. After a long time, she slowly spat out a sentence. Fong Chen understood what Shi Shang meant. With so many big shots in the same world at the same time, how could they not form groups? Thinking about how he used to be a terrifying person, he was now a small fry in the presence of a big one. His current fame couldn't even be compared to the woman in front of him. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows and asked Fong Chen, "Don't you plan to recruit some people?" This idiot was also a boss. Look at her flashy group, then look at him. She despised him. What was she despising him for? What for? To fight. Otherwise, to warm your bed? Warm his bed. Now that everyone's life was in danger, who would have the time to think about such things? Fong Chen glared at Shi Shang. "Why don't you recruit people? I can handle these people by myself." "Why should I recruit people?" Shi Shang answered confidently, his tone extremely arrogant. Fong Chen gritted his teeth. He really wanted to hit her. But what if he couldn't win? Fong Chen looked away. He felt like he was going to explode from anger when he talked to her. "They're coming this way. I saw it. Do I need you to tell me? Aren't I reminding you?" Chapter 862. While the two of them were bickering, the huge team had already reached the bottom. The place where they were standing was very conspicuous, and there was no cover. The people below could see them at a glance, but they had to deal with the bugs first before they could go over. Shi Shang watched them deal with the bugs skillfully. Several of them worked together and cooperated well. It was obvious that this team was not formed randomly. However, some of these people fought alone, and they were similar to killing machines. "They can control high-level players," Shi Shang murmured. High-level players never formed groups, they were all lone wolves. "I've heard of a black card that can turn people into their puppets," Fong Chen explained. Fong Chen explained from the side. He glanced at the huge team and concluded, the leader of this team should have a puppet card. Shi Shang cracked her knuckles. He could increase his collection rate again. Seeing the eager state of the people next door, Fong Chen was a little confused. "Didn't you say that you didn't want to fight? Can't I think about it now?" Shi Shang drew his sword. Women are so fickle. The people below had just finished dealing with the bugs when two black figures jumped down from upstairs. They didn't even say anything and started killing. When they realized what was going on, many of their people were already lying on the ground. Shi Shang could easily kill a bunch of them with a swing of his sword. If she had spiritual energy, she could kill this group of people with a swing of her hand. At the back of the team, a woman was lying on a chair. Her facial features were quite delicate, but somehow, they looked a little ugly together. The woman was playing with a black card that was as black as ink in her hand. The level on the card could be vaguely seen. LV80. Boss, bad news. 2 people in front killed many of our people. One of them pushed away the subordinates surrounding the woman and rushed in hurriedly. The woman raised her thick eyebrows. 2 people. The person who reported nodded vigorously. 2 people. That woman looks a little like the legendary Yu Xia. Yu Xia. The woman sat up straight and asked in a hoarse voice, "Are you sure it's her?" "I'm not very sure, but she has a very powerful sword in her hand. It's similar to the rumors." Yu Xia's image in the outside world was that she had a very powerful sword. The woman put away the black card. "Let's go and take a look." The woman led a few people to the front of the group. Shi Shang was killing people as fast as a rocket. In just a short while, he had already killed a lot of people. "Stop!" the woman yelled. She stopped, but Shi Shang didn't. In the blink of an eye, he knocked down the person who had stopped just now. "I will stop just because you tell me to? Dream on." The woman didn't expect Shi Shang to react like this. After a while, she raised her eyebrows and said, "Yu Xia, who ranks first, is so petty?" "Magnanimity. What was that?" "I didn't." Shi Shang continued to hack people. "Yu Xia, stop. I need to talk to you." The woman raised her voice. "Don't talk about it." What was there to talk about between 2 women? They couldn't be lesbians. Continue slashing people. The woman originally thought that she could control the situation. However, when Shi Shang didn't listen at all, things were going in a direction that she couldn't predict. Seeing more and more people fall, the woman didn't feel any heartache. Her people were at the back. If these puppets died, she could just get a new batch. "Yu Xia, I don't have any grudges against you. Why are you targeting me?" "No one is a good person." "You're being funny," Shi Shang took the time to reply. "In this world, if you're not targeting me, then I'm targeting you. What's the point?" The woman was rendered speechless by Shi Shang's words. No one was a good person. Was there a good person among the people who came here? The woman took out the black card and stared at Shi Shang eerily. She had originally wanted to recruit her, but now, she would just become her puppet. The woman activated the black card. There seemed to be an invisible thread coming out of the black card. It quickly wrapped around Shi Shang. It wrapped around her wrist and went all the way to her neck. Shi Shang felt the power of control. A voice came from the distant sky. "Your master is called Zhong Qing. Your master is called Zhong Qing." She kept repeating this sentence. Shi Shang frowned. His calm eyes looked at the woman behind the crowd. She wanted to control her with such a low-level puppet technique? King retard. She's insulting my level. Zhong Qing had been observing Shi Shang the entire time. The expression on her face didn't fluctuate much. Needless to say, her eyes didn't reveal any emotion at all. When she met them, she only felt a chill run down her spine. She couldn't control her. She was already level 80. Was her level higher than hers? Those people in the high-level world were actually brainwashed and turned into puppets. The reason why Zhong Qing did not become a killing machine like the others was because she had a puppet card in her hand. Logically speaking, her current level should be the highest in this world. Why didn't it work on her? Before Zhong Qing could figure out the reason, the little brother beside her was suddenly hit by something. Her vision darkened. A figure landed in front of her. A smiling face appeared in her eyes. You want to control me? That's a great wish. Zhong Qing took a step back in horror. Cold sweat covered her entire body. She pushed the people around her. Kill her. Kill her for me. Shi Shang snorted and slashed with his sword again. Zhong Qing relied on her puppet card. She had a high level and could control many people. However, her actual combat ability was trash. Against a player like Shi Shang, who didn't play by the rules, Zhong Qing could only kneel. Zhong Qing saw that the situation was not good. She quickly ran back. The others saw that Zhong Qing had run away. Why would they stay? They also ran with Zhong Qing. Why are you running? Don't you want to talk to me? Let's talk about life. The light voice was scattered by the wind. However, it still fell accurately into Zhong Qing's ears. Zhong Qing turned her head and saw that the woman who was slashing people just now was chasing after her on a sword. Who wants to talk to you at a time like this? Stop her. Zhong Qing scolded the people beside her. Although these people also wanted to run for their lives, they didn't dare to disobey Zhong Qing's abuse of power. They stopped and blocked Shi Shang. Shi Shang didn't know the rules of fighting. Anyway, he just slashed all the way. I, Shang, am a villain. Of course, I have to act like a villain. A villain who doesn't cause trouble isn't a good villain. A villain who doesn't seek death isn't a good villain. So, don't tell me that this female lead is simply crazy. She has a problem to begin with. She has a problem is a problem. I said it at the beginning. If you don't like it, you can change it. Why make things difficult for yourself? You have your likes and dislikes, and I have mine. Everyone is fine. Chapter 863. Zhong Qing didn't dare to look back. She ran all the way forward. She didn't know how long she had run, but there was no sound behind her. She slowly slowed down and looked back. She only saw rows upon rows of ruins, and it was very quiet behind her. Zhong Qing stopped and panted with her hands on her knees. Her heart was beating so fast that it felt like it was going to jump out. Ever since she entered the game and became a high-level player, she had never been in such a sorry state. You Xia. Zhong Qing's eyes were fierce, but there was some fear deep in her heart. She was afraid of that woman. Do you want to take revenge? Zhong Qing abruptly raised her head and looked around. It was still empty, and there was no one in sight. No one. No, where were her subordinates? There were a few who ran with her just now. Do you want to take revenge? Who? Who's talking? Come out. Zhong Qing shouted. Do you want to take revenge? The voice gradually became clear, as if it was whispering in her ear. Zhong Qing looked around in fear, and a layer of goosebumps appeared on her arms. Who is hiding? Come out if you have the ability. Do you want to take revenge? The voice repeated this sentence. Come out. What do you want to do? Don't think that I'm afraid of you. Come out. Zhong Qing's voice was hoarse from shouting, but no one came out. She had disappeared inexplicably, and now there was such an inexplicable voice. Zhong Qing felt goosebumps rising from the bottom of her heart. She looked around, swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and continued to run forward with her leaden legs. But no matter how long she ran, the voice followed her like a shadow. Who are you? Zhong Qing screamed, breaking down. I can give you a chance to take revenge. The voice finally changed its line. Why? Why do you want to help me? Who are you? The voice replied after a long time, because I want Yu Xia to die. Yu Xia. It was her again. When she thought of her sorry state just now, Zhong Qing was furious. She clenched her fists. How can you help me? Shi Shang didn't chase after Zhong Qing. It wasn't that she didn't chase after her, but when she chased after her, she couldn't find her. In order to prevent Fong Chen, that pervert, from taking the black cards, she went back to clean up the battlefield. Fong Chen had already collected all the black cards and was counting them one by one. 688, 689. After counting the cards, Fong Chen split them in half. Half each. Shi Sheng glanced at Fong Chen. Fong Chen's arrogance was immediately reduced. You get 60% and I get 40%. That's it. He had put in so much effort today. However, he had to admit that ever since he started following her, the number of black cards on him had been increasing. Shi Sheng was not convinced. I was the one who killed more than half of them. Why should I get 60% and you get 70%? You have so many. What's wrong with giving me a few more? Fong Chen wanted to act shamelessly. Don't be so stingy. Shi Sheng put on a fierce expression and put his hands on his waist. So what if I'm stingy towards someone who always wants to steal I's sword? Hurry up and hand it over, or I'll cut you. Fong Chen. Violent maniac. Fong Chen reluctantly gave the black cards to Shi Sheng. Shi Sheng took the black cards back to where they were and gave some to Meow Meow. Meow Meow sat on the ground and followed the method Shi Sheng had taught her. She fed the black cards to her card one by one. This was a new skill that Shi Sheng had learned not long ago. High-level black cards could devour low-level black cards. It sounded like a fantasy, but this world was a fantasy, so there was nothing strange about it. Fong Chen looked at Meow Meow feeding the cards with a pained expression. Why did this little girl get to give them to him? This little girl didn't do anything, but she got so much for no reason. Biased. Congratulations to player Meow Meow for reaching level 75. Meow Meow's face lit up. She turned to look at Shi Sheng. Sister Yu Xia, I'm at level 75. Fong Chen shot another arrow in the knee. He was only at level 73, but this little girl was already at level 75. How was he supposed to live? Shi Sheng threw the rest of the black cards to her. Level up to level 80. Leveling up a black card wasn't like other things, where the effect wouldn't last for a second time. This thing was always effective. The higher the level of the black card, the faster it leveled up. It was like playing a game. Rich players spent money to buy experience pills, while rich players could only level up by killing monsters. Shi Sheng was definitely a rich player. Meow Meow continued leveling up with the black cards. When she had used up all the black cards, her level had also reached level 80. Congratulations to player Meow Meow for becoming the 10th max level player in this world. Your world level will be raised to level 9. Please be prepared. Fong Chen was speechless. Long wait. He hadn't leveled up yet, but the world leveled up again. How was he supposed to play this game? What made Fong Chen even more frustrated was that a message popped up from the black card. Congratulations to player White Chess for triggering the ultimate mode. Your world level has reached level 10. Fong Chen was speechless. What the hell? Could he choose to die? What's the ultimate mode? Shi Sheng held the black card. It wasn't clear if he was talking to himself or asking Fong Chen. Fong Chen wasn't familiar with this, so he naturally couldn't answer. At this moment, the sky outside suddenly darkened, and lightning appeared without warning. Countless black shadows descended along with the lightning. They were of all shapes and sizes, and they were all different. As soon as these things landed, they were like lions that had been awakened. They angrily destroyed the things around them and even fought with those that were close to them. There were also petite humans that landed. Many of them were killed by those monsters before they could even figure out what was going on. What was this? Ultraman fighting against small monsters? You're not playing Plants vs. Zombies anymore? Shi Sheng looked at the increasing number of black shadows in the distance, dumbfounded. Some of the black shadows had already landed near them and started destroying the buildings. The only thing left in the world was the rumbling sound. A level 10 world was filled with all kinds of monsters. The biggest monsters were the size of a small mountain, and the smallest ones were the size of a small car. They were genetically mutated. A cat had a dog's head on its body, and a cow had pig's hooves on its body. It was as if they had been thrown into a machine and reassembled. It was a very strange sight. These monsters' target was humans. After fighting at the beginning, they started attacking humans in a unified manner. Meanwhile, humans were still fighting among themselves. The previous star level upgrade had already eliminated those who did not meet the requirements. Those who could survive were either top-notch clingers or perverts with strength. The civil war among the perverts was also very interesting. Shi Shang was obsessed with leveling up all day long. He didn't care about others at all. Feng Chen followed behind her. Although his level didn't rise as fast as hers, he was also one of the best. In the past, it was others who followed behind him to take advantage of him. Now, it was him who followed behind others to take advantage of them. The scariest thing was that this person was a woman. My host is addicted to leveling up series number 2017. 0109 book review area Little Angel. Ching Tong. Requesting votes. Requesting votes. Chapter 864. Because the world level rose too fast, AI Me couldn't keep up with this progress at all. At first, she could barely keep up, but later it became more and more difficult. This world was full of monsters, and her level couldn't survive at all. In order to survive, she had been tortured during this period of time. Sometimes she wondered why she was living. It was so painful that she might as well die. But when she thought of Yu Xia, who laughed arrogantly and looked down on everyone, AI Me felt that she could hold on. AI Me, what are you thinking? The boss is calling you. A girl next to her patted AI Me on the shoulder and kindly reminded her. AI Me frowned in disgust and looked in another direction. A man over there was looking at her with undisguised eyes. She almost died at the beginning, and it was this man who saved her. This man took advantage of her injury and took advantage of her. Later, he found out that she had a healing card, and her treatment in the team was not bad. But when she thought of this man messing around with her, AI Me wanted to kill him. AI Me took a deep breath, got up and walked towards the man. Boss. Come and sit. The boss patted the side. AI Me endured the disgust and sat down. She lowered her head to block the cold light in her eyes. If she had the strength, she would have killed this man. But his level was too much higher than hers. Even when they were in bed, she couldn't do anything. A sense of humiliation welled up in AI Me's heart. The boss put his hands around AI Me's waist and pulled her into his arms. Why are you unhappy? Who made you angry? Tell me, I'll help you vent. AI Me was quite beautiful, and she had a healing card. Her temperament was better than other women. The boss doted on her very much, and she was the object of jealousy in the team. No, I'm just thinking about Bai Qi and Yu Xia. AI Me's voice was very low. What do you think about them for? The boss was a little unhappy. Those two people would come out to make their presence known every once in a while. They seemed to be very powerful. The boss pondered for a moment and suddenly nodded in agreement. They are very powerful. AI Me's mouth twitched slightly. Hearing this kind of thing, he should jump up and refute. Why did he admit that they were more powerful now? The boss was not stupid. These two people were like a competition. They raised the world level all the way to the 10-star level. If they didn't have real ability, they would have died long ago. Alright, go get me something to eat. Boss patted AI Me's waist and said in a chauvinistic manner, with me here, it's not up to a woman like you to worry about these things. AI Me had goosebumps all over her body. When she heard that she could leave, she didn't bother to say anything else. She quickly got up and left. The people in this world did not have any specific missions. The only thing they had to do was to find food, avoid monsters, and survive. The team AI Me wasn't big, but it wasn't small either. They consumed a lot of supplies. At first, it was a distribution, but later on, they each took care of their own things. However, the boss and his women's supplies were managed by specialized people. AI Me went to find someone to get the food, did some simple things, and sent it to the boss. After boss finished eating, AI Me went back and found that her portion had already been eaten. Of the two women beside her, one was tidying her hair, and the other was looking at her with a faint smile. Who ate it? Ai put down the food in her hand and glanced at them coldly. I don't know, the woman with a faint smile replied. She lifted her pointy chin and said, We didn't see it. Ai narrowed her eyes. She went forward and grabbed the woman's hair and pressed her against the wall. Ah! Ai, you bitch, let go of me. How dare you hit me? Boss, help, Ai is going to kill someone. The woman was in pain and scratched at Ai. Ai covered the woman's mouth and said, I'll ask again, who ate it? The woman tidying her hair leaned back. She had been taught a lesson by Ai before and didn't want to be taught a lesson again. The woman struggled with all her might. Ai, what are you doing? Another girl rushed out from the side and pulled Ai out. Did you forget what happened last time? How dare you hit me again? If boss sees you, you'll be punished again. Boss hated it when women hit other women. He felt that it was disrespectful to him. His women should respect him and not be jealous. Ai was already angry. She ate my food. What's wrong with me teaching her a lesson? I'll give you mine. Don't mess with her. The girl looked into the distance nervously. Let go of her first. Ai didn't want to let go. If you give her face, she'll think you're afraid of her. The woman twisted her limbs and scratched the back of Ai's hand with her long nails. Seeing that the two were about to fight, the girl who tried to mediate the fight pulled Ai away. The woman escaped from Ai's claws and ran to boss to complain. The girl was stunned. She wanted to grab the woman, but the woman ran fast and shouted at the same time. She couldn't stop her at all. Ai glanced at the girl coldly. The woman complained to boss and Ai was punished by boss with no food for 2 days. The girl blamed herself and gave her food to Ai. Ai's temper rose and she didn't eat. The team continued to move forward. They met 2 monsters on the way and everyone in the team went to help. Ai was a healer, so she didn't have to fight. She just stood beside boss. But these 2 monsters weren't easy to deal with. The group couldn't take them down after a long time, so boss had to do it himself. Ai and the other women were hiding from the monsters. She was so hungry that she didn't notice what was happening behind her. She didn't know who gave her a push, but she lost her balance and fell straight into the monster area. Ai reacted quickly and avoided close contact with the monsters, but she was surrounded by a group of small monsters. She looked up at the place where she was just standing. The woman who stole her food was smiling proudly. Ai clenched her fist. She shouldn't have let her go. Ai, be careful. The girl kept shouting at Ai. Ai didn't eat anything and her stamina was depleted quickly. These small monsters were everywhere, so she couldn't kill them all. She avoided the small monsters in front of her and the back was exposed. Ai had a deep scratch on her back. Ai was exhausted. She felt like she was going to be drowned by these small monsters. Am I going to die like this? No. I can't accept this. Ai's desire to live exploded. Her stamina that was almost at its limit recovered a little. Bang! Ah! A scream came from the front. Ai heard someone call Yu Xia's name. She quickly glanced over. The girl stepped on a sword and flew over. Her hair was tied up and she looked clean and cheerful. She was still the arrogant and confident Yu Xia. Chapter 865. Yu Xia, it's Yu Xia. She's Yu Xia. She's so small. What was that explosion just now? That monster was blown to smithereens. The people below huddled together and looked at the person in the sky who was gradually approaching. They didn't know what she was doing here. Shi Shang blew up the monster purely because of a slip of the hand. She wanted to blow up the female lead, but who knew that the monster would suddenly jump towards her and deflect the energy ball. This was luck. One monster was blown to smithereens, but there was still another. The people below breathed a sigh of relief and were immediately attacked by another monster. There was also a pervert flying in the sky who wanted to do something. Why did they feel like their necks were hanging? Ai managed to save herself with her last burst of willpower. Shi Shang drove the sword over and prepared to blow up the female lead again. The female lead went missing on a monthly basis. I'm very anxious to find her. Whoosh! Something cut through the air, and a panic-inducing sense of oppression rolled over from the side. The iron sword sensed danger and quickly rose into the air without Shi Shang's command. A missile swept over from below. A missile. That's right, it was a missile. Asterisk flips table asterisk where did a missile come from in this world? Director, there's someone here who's messing around. What made Shi Shang even more surprised was that it was not only a missile, but also a homing missile. He didn't know how it worked, but it was chasing her. Shi Shang was chased by the missile in the sky. His hair stood on end. Finally, he jumped down from the iron sword, grabbed the iron sword, and swung it. The sword's aura split the air and collided with the missile. There was no earth-shattering explosion. Shi Shang only heard a moderate bang. The bomb exploded, and the banner hung down directly from the tail. The blood-red words almost blinded Shi Shang's eyes. Shi Shang, you idiot. Shi Shang, you idiot. Idiot. Not bad, Mubai. Shi Shang steadied himself, stepped on the iron sword, and rose into the air. He pulled down the banner, and the missile that was still in the air was pulled down by Shi Shang. It crashed into the group of monsters and exploded with a bang. The airflow almost threw Shi Shang off the iron sword. Shi Shang. This idiot. So, with a series of sounds, countless missiles flew in from all directions, and banners dropped down one by one. The words, Shi Shang, you retard, were swaying in the wind. The people below looked at the strange scene in the sky and were all speechless. What was going on? Who was Shi Shang? Shi Shang gritted his teeth. That idiot Mu Bai was definitely nearby. But where? Shi Shang quickly looked around. This place should have been a business district before it turned into ruins. The buildings here were not very tall. In order to control these things, Mu Bai had to be on high ground. Shi Shang fixed his gaze on a certain spot. She weaved her way through the missiles, and as she moved, so did the missiles. So the scene was, a girl was flying in front on a sword, and behind her were missiles with banners hanging on them. From afar, one would think that she was here to cause trouble. Everyone. What was going on? She left just like that. Shi Shang flew directly to the top of the building, but there was no one there. There was a banner in the middle of the building. The banner read, Shi Shang, you retard. Shi Shang stared at the top of the building for a while, and then he took out a few energy balls and threw them down. One energy ball was not enough to blow up such a big building, but a few of them would make the building disappear in the blink of an eye. That was obviously a trap. She was not that stupid. She had a death wish last time. There were many high-rise buildings around here, and that building was the tallest one. After it was blown up, the building behind it was exposed. Shi Shang saw someone standing at the top of the building from afar. But that figure was not a man. Had Mu Bai become a woman this time? Shi Shang hesitated for a moment, then stepped on the iron sword and walked over. He only saw who the woman was when he got closer. Shi Shang frowned. The woman was none other than the woman who had run away last time, Zhong Qing. She was holding a tablet in her hand that should not have appeared in this world. Those missiles were obviously controlled by her. F***ck. Mu Bai, that retard, had learned to find someone to replace him. When Zhong Qing saw Shi Shang, a trace of madness appeared on her face. You xia, go to hell. Her fingers quickly tapped on the screen, and the missiles in the distance quickly flew toward Shi Shang. The densely packed missiles gathered around Shi Shang. Zhong Qing pressed the red button on the tablet, and in that instant, the missiles exploded at the same time. The world trembled. A mushroom cloud rose into the sky. Zhong Qing's palms were sweaty. After the explosion, she leaned against the railing beside her, and her eyes were fixed on the slowly surging mushroom cloud. There were also explosives buried below where she was just now. Otherwise, the explosion would not have been so powerful. She should be dead, right? She must be dead. Zhong Qing comforted herself in her heart. There were so many explosives, and she did not have an indestructible body. How could she not die? Did Mu Bai tell you what the consequences of offending me are? Zhong Qing's body suddenly stiffened. Her hands that were holding the railing trembled, and her veins were exposed. She slowly turned her head to look. The person who should have been faked to death was standing in the house behind her at this moment. Other than being in a sorry state, there was nothing unusual about her. There was even a smile on her face. That smile was very creepy, and it made people's hair stand on end. Her eyes were calm, and the mushroom cloud outside appeared a little gray, making her look even more strange. How did you not die? Shi Shang pulled the corners of his mouth into a fake smile. How could it be so easy to make I die? But this time, she admitted that Mu Bai was quite impressive. He had schemed against her. The building from before was just a cover. Thinking that there was someone who understood him more and more and was secretly scheming against him, Shi Shang wanted to explode. Shi Shang raised his sword and slashed at Zhong Qing. Zhong Qing wanted to escape, but she had no principles other than jumping off the building. No matter what, she would die. The cold light in her eyes approached. Her limbs seemed to be frozen, and she could not move. The tablet in her hand fell to the ground. The screen went out, and spiderweb-like cracks covered the screen. Shi Shang suddenly withdrew his sword and quickly rushed to the other side. He turned over and jumped down. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from Zhong Qing's sight. Zhong Qing stood there stiffly. She did not understand why Shi Shang suddenly ran away. But Shi Shang's departure, did it mean that her life was saved? However, in the next second, she fell into a white light in front of her. Shi Shang looked at the half of the building that had been blown up and rubbed the space between his eyebrows tiredly. Mu Bai, this idiot, was so scheming. He had actually planted explosives in the tablet. If he knew that she was not dead, he would definitely kill Zhong Qing. And the chances of the tablet being chopped or falling was 50%. Thinking about the explosion just now, Shi Shang's ears were still buzzing. His internal organs felt as if they had been displaced. It was very uncomfortable. Asterisk, please vote. Please vote. Chapter 866. Mu Bai had learned his lesson in the previous worlds. He wouldn't show up in person so easily. Even now, he had to ask Guy to find him? How arrogant of him! Shi Shang returned to the place where the group of people had been. Apart from some bloodstains on the ground, there was no one there. Did they run away? He walked around but didn't see anyone. Shi Shang gave up looking. Sister Yu Xia, you're back. Shi Shang returned to his temporary residence. Miao Miao came out to greet him and said quickly, Brother Fong Chen is injured. You should go check on him. He has a healing card. He won't die. Why should I check on him? I'm going to rest. Shi Shang walked around Miao Miao and left. Sister Yu Xia. Miao Miao caught up to Shi Shang. Shi Shang turned around and stared at Miao Miao calmly. Miao Miao stopped and turned pale. She clutched at her clothes and watched Shi Shang go upstairs. After a while, Miao Miao ran in another direction. After turning a corner, she saw the person lying on the ground. Brother Fong Chen. Are you okay? Miao Miao ran over. Sister Yu Xia won't come. Fong Chen's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He was trembling and his lips were unusually dark. Miao Miao looked at him helplessly, not knowing what to do. Fong Chen was optimistic. Even if she came, it wouldn't be of much help. I'm fine, Fong Chen said with difficulty. How can you be fine? You're dying. Miao Miao sounded like she was about to cry. I'll go beg Sister Yu Xia. Miao Miao stood up. Fong Chen wanted to pull her back, but he wasn't as fast as Miao Miao. He didn't even manage to touch her clothes. Fong Chen seemed to have predicted that the woman upstairs would be furious. If he was dying, it would be good enough if she didn't sacrifice herself. Why would she save him? Clearly, Fong Chen had foresight. Shi Shang ignored him. Miao Miao begged Shi Shang for a long time before he finally looked at Fong Chen. But he didn't do anything. I don't have a healing card. I'm not a doctor. How can I save him? Shi Shang asked Miao Miao. Miao Miao was rendered speechless. In her heart, Shi Shang was omnipotent, so she instinctively thought that Shi Shang would have a solution. Miao Miao. Fong Chen panted. She's right. I have a healing card. Even I can't save myself. What can she do? Miao Miao lowered its head, not daring to speak. Fong Chen turned his head to look at Shi Shang. The latter returned his gaze with a calm expression. Fong Chen was injured because he met a strange creature when he went out today. He said it was strange because he didn't see what it looked like at all. Its speed was so fast that only afterimages could be seen with the naked eye. He was careless and was bitten on the leg by it. He discovered that it was poisonous. At first, he thought that he would be fine with the healing card, but he found that the healing card was completely useless as the wound could not heal. Fong Chen became weaker and weaker in the latter half of the night. He gritted his teeth and did not make a sound. The wound felt like there were countless worms crawling and gnawing on it. Miao Miao stayed by his side, biting its lip as it wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Miao Miao. Brother Fong Chen? If I die, you can keep my card. He did not want to let that woman take advantage of him. Miao Miao shook its head. No, Brother Fong Chen, you'll be fine. Fong Chen's mouth twitched. See, it was right to give Miao Miao the card. At least she could still care about him. The last moments of his life in this world were not so bad. Ah, Shi Shang heard Miao Miao's scream in the latter half of the night. He rolled over and went downstairs. Miao Miao was half kneeling on the ground. Fong Chen shielded her behind him. Shi Shang quickly looked around. What's wrong? Something. Fong Chen's body swayed as if he was about to fall. The thing that bit me is following me. Shi Shang walked toward Miao Miao. She was holding her leg with one hand, her face scrunched up in pain. You were bitten? Shi Shang helped her up and let her sit beside him. Let me see. Shi Shang pulled Miao Miao's hand away and rolled up her pants. There was an obvious bite mark on her leg. It was the bite mark of a human. Shi Shang frowned. What was this? Shi Shang looked around the area but didn't see anything strange. Shi Shang helped Miao Miao treat her wound first. She could not use any of the things she had on her, so she could only exchange for a bottle of delayed poison from the system. Just as Shi Shang was about to move Miao Miao to another place, a voice came from downstairs. There's a place to rest up ahead. Go in. You guys, hurry up. Someone came up the stairs. Seeing the light, the person in front was stunned. There's someone here, he shouted after a while. Soon, a few more people came up. Yu Xia. It's Yu Xia. Go get the boss. Someone recognized Shi Shang and urged the people around him to go get Yu Xia. Boss was escorted up by a group of people. Shi Shang found this person rather familiar. He was one of the people who had been with the FL this afternoon. The female lead must be here too. Flip's table. How did she come to I? Yu Xia. The boss did not see her clearly during the day, but her clothes looked the same, so he asked with uncertainty. What? The boss was shocked. It was really her. He waved his hand and asked the others to leave. Then he smiled and said, Miss Yu, I'm sorry to disturb you. Can you let us rest here? This was Yu Xia. He did not dare to offend her. I didn't buy the land. You can do whatever you want. But don't come in here. The boss did not expect Shi Shang to be so easy to talk to. He quickly said, Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Miss Yu. He led them downstairs and asked them to go upstairs. But the news had spread that Shi Shang was upstairs. Amy sat in the corner, looking very bad. Hearing people talking about Yu Xia, her face became even worse. Why did she run into her everywhere? Amy, Go and apologize to the boss. He loves you so much. He won't be angry with you. I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I apologize? AI Me was stubborn, especially when it was not her fault. The girl who persuaded her said worriedly, "But the boss will be angry if you do this. If you apologize, he won't argue with you." After they escaped to a safe place, AI Me killed the person who pushed her woman in front of the boss. This was undoubtedly challenging the boss's authority. He was angry not because the woman was gone, but because AI Me did not put him in her eyes. AI Me, listen to me. We need to rely on the boss now. It's not good to have a bad relationship with him. The girl tried to persuade her. I'm not going. She had a healing card. Even if the man was angry, he would not do anything to her. She did not need to be by his side. Chapter 867. The people downstairs and Shi Shang stayed out of each other's way. Shi Shang was worried. She didn't even know what Meow Meow was. How was she going to detoxify it? Even the 999 antidote powder wouldn't work. Meow Meow's endurance wasn't as good as Fong Chen's. It fainted in less than an hour. The thing that bit people must still be nearby. She had to catch it. People usually had antidotes for poisonous things. Maybe they had antidotes too? Shi Shang shuddered at the thought of the teeth marks on Meow Meow's leg. Those were human teeth marks. It was horrifying to look at. Time flew by and Shi Shang couldn't find a single strand of hair in the vicinity. While Shi Shang was worrying, panic screams came from downstairs. A man scolding and a woman screaming were mixed together. Shi Shang stuffed the iron sword into Fong Chen's hand. Keep an eye on her. Fong Chen was speechless. The sword he had been thinking about for so long was finally in his hands. But it was useless. He didn't even have the strength to hold the sword. Shi Shang went downstairs. There was a fire downstairs. A group of people huddled in a corner. In the light of the fire, there was a snake. Its body was covered with messy patterns. Its thick body was coiled up, and its tail was vibrating slightly. Its head was similar to a human's. Its forehead was very pointed and protruded into a triangle. It looked very strange. What the hell was this? Why were things that went against genetics more and more? Before Shi Shang went downstairs, the strange snake disappeared in the blink of an eye. It's gone. Where is it? Look for it. Everyone looked around at the same time, but they couldn't find the snake. It had disappeared silently just like when it came. Ah! Someone in the crowd suddenly screamed. Shi Shang saw a shadow flash by and head towards the corner. But he couldn't see anything when he looked closely. People in the crowd were bitten one after another. The strange snake came and went like a ghost. They couldn't even see its shadow. This was undoubtedly frightening. Things that couldn't be seen were much scarier than things that could be seen. Shi Shang stood on the stairs and observed for a while. It seemed that this thing was only interested in biting people. It would never bite a person a second time after it had bitten once. She only saw a blurry shadow a few times, but when she looked carefully, there was no trace of the strange snake. The crowd huddled together and looked around vigilantly. A minute passed, but nothing happened. 2 minutes later, there was still no movement. 3 minutes. 10 minutes later, there was still no movement. Have they left? Let's go. Everyone remained in a stalemate for a while. After confirming that the thing was gone, they began to check on the people on the ground. Their symptoms were similar to Fong Chen's. Amy, Amy. Someone shouted. Use your healing card. AI Me was pushed to the front. She was a little reluctant, but with so many people staring at her, she could only use the healing card. Shi Shang thought that it would be useless, but she forgot that the female lead was different. Her treatment card was useful. Once again, they witnessed the fate of cannon fodder. Flip's table. With this setting, how could the villains not fight with the protagonists? I don't have enough points. AI Me only treated 2 people and looked at the boss next to her with an ugly expression. Who has more points? Recently, there were too many places to use the black card, and there were no point missions to do. Many people had used up their points. No more. No more. I don't have any either. The boss's face was pale. No more. Everyone shook their heads. They had used up most of their points to deal with that monster. This was what it meant to be used up. AI Me glanced at Shi Shang standing on the stairs. She suddenly pointed at Shi Shang. She should have some. The boss looked in the direction AI Me was pointing at, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Let him snatch food from the tiger's mouth? That was impossible. But the people lying on the ground were all his brothers. These people had been with him since he came in, and they had gone through so many ups and downs together. The boss asked tentatively, "Miss you, can you give us some points?" "Of course, we will pay you." "Pay? What can you afford?" Shi Shang looked at them calmly. "Miss you, make a request. As long as I can fulfill it, I will do it." What else could they have now? The boss could only let Shi Shang make the request himself. If it was too much, he would have to give up on these people. Shi Shang turned and went upstairs. The boss was dumbfounded. He called out anxiously, "Miss you," but Shi Shang didn't stop. He quickly went upstairs and disappeared from their sight. Just as everyone was looking at each other, she came down with a person in her arms and put him against the wall. "I can give you the points, but you can lend me your healing card." Everyone looked at Meow Meow's face and compared it to the people who were bitten. How could they not know what was going on? "Okay." The boss agreed without hesitation. "It was just a healing card." "I don't agree," Aimi said. She didn't want to use her healing card to save this woman's people. "Aimi," the boss scolded. "I'm in charge here. You have to agree even if you don't want to." Aimi wanted to say something, but was stopped by the girl behind her. "Don't worry, Miss You. We can treat this girl first." The boss turned around with a respectful look on his face. Shi Shang threw a black card over. The boss hurriedly caught it and handed it to Aimi. Aimi bit her lip and glared at Shi Shang. She took the card and transferred the points to her own black card. She walked over to Meow Meow. "If she dares to do anything, all of you will die." Shi Shang's voice sounded faintly. The boss was shocked. He hurried to Aimi's side and stared at her. Aimi clenched her fists. Her nails dug into her palms. With the boss watching, Aimi didn't dare to do anything. She treated Meow Meow obediently. Meow Meow woke up not long after the treatment. She looked a little weak. "Sister Yu Xia?" She reached out to touch her calf. It was still throbbing, but she didn't feel anything when she touched it. Shi Shang patted her head. "It's okay." Aimi used Shi Shang's points. She didn't try to save them at all. She spent as many points as she could. "It's all used up." Aimi's points were used up after treating 2 people. The boss looked at Shi Shang awkwardly. "Miss You." Shi Shang took out a handful of cards from his pocket and gave them to the boss without hesitation. Everyone was speechless. How many cards did she have? She casually swiped and she had so many. Although there were more people coming in now and the black cards weren't as rare as before, most people still didn't have many black cards. Aimi stared at Shi Shang's cards. Her expression was slightly twisted. Asterisk, "It's so cold. Everyone, keep warm. Don't catch a cold. Mua mua." Chapter 868. Aimi healed everyone. The healing card didn't seem to have any side effects. Anyway, Shi Shang saw that she didn't show any signs of discomfort from beginning to end. This was the treatment of a female lead. When she used that speed card, she would feel a little nauseous at first, but after her level increased, she didn't feel anything. Sister Yu Xia and brother Fong Chen. Meow Meow didn't forget Fong Chen. Shi Shang's mouth twitched. He didn't want to save that pervert. Sister Yu Xia, Brother Fong Chen will die. Does Miss Yu have a companion? Boss heard Meow Meow's words and immediately said, if it's not convenient for you to come down, I'll take AI Me upstairs to treat him. Meow Meow looked at Shi Shang pitifully and tugged at Shi Shang's sleeve. Why are you acting cute? Do you think I'll let you go? I won't save that pervert. Sister Yu Xia. No. Yu Xia. Do you have to be so ruthless? Fong Chen poked his head out and said weakly, Brother Fong Chen. Meow Meow immediately let go of Shi Shang and ran to Fong Chen. Look, as soon as this guy comes, the cute girl is gone. Save my ass. Boss looked at Shi Shang and shook his head. He didn't dare to ask AI Me to save him. Sister Yu Xia. I beg you. Humph. Shi Shang snorted and strode over to him. He snatched the iron sword from his hand and said coldly, Do whatever you want. Meow Meow watched Shi Shang go upstairs and whispered, Is Sister Yu Xia angry? Of course she's angry. She wanted him to die, but this little girl insisted on saving him. She probably wanted to kill someone right now. Thinking of this, he suddenly felt as if he had found the door to a new world. No, now wasn't the time to think about this. Hurry, I'm going to die. Fong Chen was depressed when he found that AI Me's card could heal him, but his card couldn't. They were both healing cards, and his was much better than AI Me's. Why couldn't he heal her? Because of this, Fong Chen struggled for a long time. He was so conflicted that he wanted to snatch AI Me's card. Of course, he didn't go in the end because Shi Shang mocked and ridiculed him. Fong Chen concluded that there was only one word to describe the offense: too ugly. Meow Meow. Fong Chen pulled Meow Meow closer to him. Do you think I'm ugly? You're not ugly, Meow Meow said crisply. Big brother Fong Chen is very handsome. This was the truth. The more he looked at this little girl, the more he liked her. Ugly people won't admit that they are ugly, Shi Shang added. Fong Chen was speechless. What did his face do to provoke her? Why did she have to call him ugly? Was she really ugly? Fong Chen's face could be considered impressive among the general public, but if he were to be placed among the main characters, there was no comparison at all. He was just an ordinary person. Passerby A. Chen decided to change the topic. What's the thing that bit me? Did you see it? Who knows? Shi Shang did not want to talk to Fong Chen. Fong Chen was speechless. This woman really had a temperament that made people want to kill her. She said she didn't know, but her face said, I won't tell you. Wasn't she asking for a beating? Fong Chen was convinced that she could live to this age. Fong Chen couldn't get anything out of Shi Shang, so he strolled downstairs. Those people probably coveted Shi Shang, but they didn't do anything to Fong Chen. He asked about what happened last night, and someone told him. After listening to the story, Fong Chen felt terrible. What the hell was a snake with a human face? Fong Chen decided to stay with Shi Shang. This world was no longer the world he was familiar with, and he had to rely on him. Not only did Fong Chen feel that it was safest to stay with Shi Shang, but the group of people downstairs also felt that it was safest to stay with Shi Shang. Therefore, they didn't leave after dawn. The biting snake appeared again during the day, but this time it only wandered outside for a while before disappearing. If someone didn't see it by coincidence, no one would know that it had been there. When Fong Chen heard the news, he ran up to Shi Shang and told him. Yu Xia, the people downstairs said that the snake appeared again. Shi Shang sat on the windowsill with his chin propped up. When he heard Fong Chen's voice, he looked sideways. Did someone die? Fong Chen shook his head. No, it didn't seem to come in. What kind of question was that? It was always about death. Shi Shang looked outside. There was a patch of grass outside. He didn't know if the grass had always been there or if it had grown later. Let's wait until it gets dark and watch a show. What show? Fong Chen didn't understand. Shi Shang's lips curled up slightly. A drama between a human and a snake. Snakes were social animals. Even if its genes had mutated, it was still a snake. Feng Chen. Why did he understand all the words she said, but he didn't understand when she put them together? When it was almost dark, Shi Shang put a strange set of clothes on Meow Meow. It was a one-piece kind with only its head exposed. What about me? Feng Chen felt that this thing must be very useful. You can't favor one over the other. It's none of your business. Feng Chen was silent. He suddenly smiled at Meow Meow. Meow Meow. Big brother Feng Chen. Meow Meow smiled obediently. Come over here and stay with me. Feng Chen waved at Meow Meow. Meow Meow hesitated. She had made Shi Shang angry before. She shook her head slightly. Sister Yu Xia asked me to stay with her. Feng Chen. I don't want to talk. I want some peace and quiet. Don't ask me who peace and quiet is. Feng Chen huddled in a corner alone. The light around him was getting darker and darker. There seemed to be a rustling sound outside. It was soft at first, but as the sky darkened, the sound became louder. Shi Shang leaned on the windowsill and looked down at the grass below. The weeds were swaying as if they were being stirred up by something. It was as if a wave was surging over from the distance. Rustle, rustle. The sound was getting closer. Snakes appeared one after another. They all had the same pattern on their bodies, and their length and size were almost the same. They densely surrounded the whole building. Feng Chen didn't believe Shi Shang at first, but looking at these snakes, he had to believe it even if he didn't want to. A battle between humans and snakes was about to break out. The people below probably noticed the snakes as well, and there was an uproar. The sound startled the snakes, and they disappeared in the blink of an eye. The grass nearby was still swaying, but they couldn't be seen. Shi Shang shone his flashlight in that direction. He could vaguely see the outlines of snakes in some places. Invisibility. Feng Chen frowned. Some monsters had special abilities. Color change, Shi Shang corrected. Like chameleons, these snakes had assimilated themselves with the environment. When they moved, the environment changed, and so did the color of their bodies. That was why people thought they were shadows. Asterisk hashtag noodle flavored tickets today hashtag come, eat the noodles. Chapter 869. Being besieged by a group of snakes was an extremely terrifying thing, especially when these snakes looked so strange. Perhaps it was because they had worked together with Shi Shang before, but these people were bolder than before. The people downstairs quickly retreated. That was how people were. As long as you were nice to them, they would take advantage of you. If you were angry, they would think you were wrong. That was the root of all people. Shi Shang didn't stop them. He didn't want to stay here anyway. Shi Shang helped Meow Meow onto the windowsill. The iron sword floated outside, and Meow Meow carefully moved onto it. Feng Chen was speechless. Why did you give Meow Meow clothes if you were going to run away? There was cat biscuits. Feng Chen didn't count on Shi Shang anymore. It was faster for him to save himself. Shi Shang took Meow Meow away from the building. In the darkness, the screams made the building flicker. Buzz 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 buzz. The sound of wings flapping suddenly rang out. A swarm of long worms with wings appeared above the building. They could fly. Were they trying to fly? A thought flashed through Shi Shang's mind. These things couldn't be the white worms from before, could they? It was possible. Although the worms had attack power, they weren't particularly strong. It would make sense if they were in their infancy stage. While Shi Shang was thinking, the flying snakes came toward him. Shi Shang quickly lowered the iron sword. The iron sword dropped a little, and there was a loud vibration above them. The vibration seemed to be everywhere. Shi Shang had no choice but to return with Meow Meow. Shi Shang jumped in with Meow Meow in her arms. She swung her sword in all directions, revealing several severed snakes that lay limply on the ground. The others knew that there must be more than one snake attacking them. But Shi Shang just swung his sword and there were several of them. How many were there in the room? They couldn't see at all. Yu Xia, why are you back? Fong Chen carefully moved over from the corner. Meow Meow was the first to speak. There are some in the sky too. Ha 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 ha, you deserve it. Fong Chen's reaction was definitely a conditioned reflex. After he finished laughing, he realized that it was inappropriate. Cough, cough. But he really deserved it. Who asked you guys not to bring him along? Now this is your retribution. Shi Shang swung his iron sword and began to slash at the snakes expressionlessly. Every time he swung his sword, he hit the target. Everyone was stunned. Could she see these things? Since the Shi Shang was too strong, the survivors couldn't help but lean towards the Shi Shang. The space was getting smaller and smaller, and Shi Shang felt that she couldn't even wield her sword. She shouted angrily, "Why are you leaning over? Are you courting death? Can't you see I am killing snakes? This bunch of idiots. Believe it or not, I'll chop you up if you dare to come any closer." Shi Shang pointed at the person closest to her and said fiercely. That person involuntarily took a step back. Next to Shi Shang, Meow Meow imitated Shi Shang and swung a sword that came out of nowhere. Meow Meow wasn't as good as Shi Shang and only managed to hit one snake after swinging for a long time. Before the snake was killed, Shi Shang turned around and swung his sword to kill it. Shi Shang glanced at Meow Meow. Meow Meow stuck out its tongue and continued to slash. With the experience from the first time, the second time was much better. In the end, although he couldn't hit every time, he could still hit 3 or 4 times out of 10. Meow Meow. Fong Chen moved to Meow Meow's side. How did you do it? These things couldn't be seen at all. He could only rely on his body's instincts to react to danger. But he couldn't even beat a child. Why did he feel so frustrated? Meow Meow's face was tense as he answered seriously. Sister Yuxia said to chop at will. Fong Chen was dumbfounded. Huh? What did she mean by chop at will? Meow Meow swung his sword like an expert. Just chop at will. Fong Chen was speechless. Did chop at will mean chop at will? He thought that woman had taught Meow Meow some kind of method, but it turned out to be chop at will? Are you kidding me? How could chop at will hit? Fong Chen didn't have a weapon. He took Meow Meow's sword and swung it around. The blade cut through the air, and 2 snakes fell from the ground. F***ck. It was true. The room was full of snakes. Of course, it was easy to chop at will. The clothes Meow Meow was wearing could prevent the snakes from biting her, so to outsiders, it looked more like Meow Meow had found a way to chop the snakes. In reality, she was just randomly chopping at will. Later, some people probably noticed, and the screams gradually disappeared. These snakes relied on their ability to change color. In reality, they weren't very strong. One by one, the snakes in the room were cleared out. Snake corpses covered the room, and a foul stench filled the room. Where's Amy? Amy? Someone was probably bitten by a snake, and called for Amy anxiously. Where's Amy? I don't see her. Everyone turned over the corpses on the ground, but there was no sign of Amy. Amy was gone. At the same time, a large number of strange snakes surrounded them. Shi Shang had only wanted to watch the show. Who knew that these things would have an air force? He could only continue to kill the snakes. Rumble. What's that sound? It sounds like it's coming from below. The house. The house is moving. The whole building was shaking, as if something was going to come out from underground. The building shook more and more violently. No one dared to delay any longer. They all ran outside. If the building collapsed, they would all be buried inside. Shi Shang looked back at Meow Meow. Fong Chen was protecting her, so she didn't turn back. Instead, she jumped out of the window. The moment everyone left the building, the whole building was overturned. A very thick tail pulled out of the ground, wrapped around the remains of the building, and tightened. The building was smashed to pieces under the tail. It was a huge snake. Its appearance was no different from those strange snakes. The only difference was that the scales on its body were pure silver. The big snake pulled its body completely out of the ground. The small snakes around it seemed to be afraid of it and began to retreat. Just as everyone was watching the big snake suddenly started attacking the small snakes, eating them one by one. How cruel! Shi Shang was dumbfounded. It even ate its own kind. The Air Force in the sky circled the big snake. After the big snake finished eating the small snakes on the ground, it coiled up and began to eat the ones in the sky. Run! No one knew who reacted first. The people who were still alive didn't care about the organization and chose to run in the direction they thought was safe. The big snake didn't seem to be interested in the humans who weren't enough to fill the gap between its teeth. It ate the Air Force in the sky seriously. Shi Shang naturally wouldn't deal with such a big snake. The 10-star level should be the highest level in the world. If he couldn't level up, he wouldn't get any experience points. That would be boring. Shi Shang found Meow Meow and quickly left this place. Chapter 870. No one could defeat the snake. Every once in a while, Shi Shang would see the snake feasting on a bunch of monsters. It seemed to eat anything and sometimes attacked large groups of people. But not long after, Shi Shang didn't hear any more news about the snake. The female lead also disappeared. The female lead's passive skill, life and death, would disappear. Meet an old grandpa? Get a strange inheritance? This is not a fantasy novel. Meet an old grandpa and get an inheritance. Shi Shang found that there were a lot of people looking for trouble with her. They would throw themselves at her as soon as they saw her. In order not to be accidentally hurt, Feng Chen usually stayed dozens of meters away from Shi Shang and waited for her to finish fighting before coming over to share the loot. Feng Chen's shamelessness also refreshed Shi Shang's worldview. Shi Shang only found out after a while that she was so popular because they all received a mission. As long as they could hurt her, no matter how serious the injury, they would get a chance to leave this world. The whole world is against me. Of course Shi Shang wouldn't hesitate to accept a head delivered to her doorstep. The world was constantly changing. Maybe it was because they found that there were too many monsters in the world and they couldn't defeat them alone, so humans began to unite. They killed those heretics who had lost their minds. Everyone gathered in the center of the world. They elected a supreme leader. Who did you say? Shi Shang spat out the water in his mouth. You Xia. You're wasting it. It's hard to find food now, you know. Feng Chen's face was sprayed with water, but it wasn't his face that was hurt. It's just a mouthful of water. Do I lack food and clothes? Shi Shang rolled his eyes. Feng Chen was exhausted. She had always given all her food to Meow Meow. She had never given it to him. He had always found the food himself. How could she have the nerve to say such a thing? Who did you say is the supreme leader? She felt like she was hallucinating. Feng Chen wiped his face. Bai Qi, the man who has been competing with you. Mu Bai was going to be the leader of humans. Was he going to mobilize the whole human race to deal with her? She was scared. Where are they? She hadn't heard from him for a long time and he was already a king. Central City. Feng Chen frowned. That's what they call that place now. I heard that it's in the center of this world. Feng Chen added, "Oh right, Suan Yuan is here too." Shi Shang. EXM. The male lead and the villain got together? It took Shi Shang a month to find Central City. There was no map in this world, and monsters were everywhere. It was already considered fast for her to find it in a month. Shi Shang saw the silver-white snake coiled outside the city before he got close to the city center. To enter the city gate, one had to pass under it. It's actually here. Feng Chen was speechless. You still want to kill the white chess piece? Shi Shang said with a straight face, the world will never be at peace if the retards are not eliminated. What kind of stupid declaration was this? I'm not going with you. Feng Chen immediately declared, help me kill Suan Yuan as well. The corner of Shi Shang's mouth twitched. Why don't you just let me help you live? You should just die. Fong Chen smiled. I don't need to trouble you. I can do it myself. He waved at Shi Shang. Come back early. Shi Shang didn't want to talk to the retard. He walked towards Central City. Miao Miao wanted to follow him, but Fong Chen stopped her. Where are you going? I'm going with Sister Yu Xia. Fong Chen pressed Miao Miao's shoulder. We don't know what's going on inside. It's not even clear if she can come back. What are you going to do? Then why aren't you stopping Sister Yu Xia? Miao Miao was anxious. When have you ever seen her listen to others? Fong Chen couldn't help but complain, what a self-righteous woman. Fong Chen saw that Miao Miao was about to cry and changed his words. You'll only be a burden if you go with her. We'll wait here for her to come back. You have to trust her. Bang! The sudden explosion made Fong Chen tremble. He looked in the direction of Central City. The corner of his mouth twitched. He knew that she wouldn't use any conventional methods. She blew up the city as soon as she went up. There was a figure in the sky. The explosions continued below. The giant snake didn't move. It was unknown whether it was stunned by the explosion or frightened. She rushed towards the center of Central City. If someone tried to stop her, she would blow it up. The Central City, which was already starting to take shape, was turned into a pile of ruins by the explosion. It was even worse than before. Shi Shang blew up all the way to where Mu Bai was. She violently killed her way in, but she couldn't find Mu Bai anywhere. That's not right. She hadn't seen Mu Bai before. Mu Bai didn't show up the previous few times. Shi Shang turned back. The people who had just been taught a lesson saw Shi Shang coming back. They were so scared that their legs turned to jelly. Didn't she leave? Why did she come back? This woman was like a god of death. She was even scarier than Mr. Bai. Go and gather all of you. Shi Shang pointed at two people. The two people were a little unhappy. Why should we listen to you? Shi Shang waved the iron sword. Because of this. Look at what happened to those people outside. Then tell me if you want to listen to me or not. The two people's faces were ashen. They glared at Shi Shang and left reluctantly. Who dared to say no in the face of violence? The core management of Central City was quickly gathered together. A group of people trembled as they looked at the girl sitting at the head of the table. She was holding an iron sword in her hand. She was tapping it on the table, making a crisp sound. This was the woman who was at the top of the killing list. There were still corpses lying on the ground outside. Those who went against her had a horrible ending. Shi Shang sat at the head of the table with her legs crossed. She supported her chin and tilted her head to look at the group of people. Where is Bai? The group of people shook their heads. I don't know. They really didn't know where Bai was. They couldn't follow him every day, right? He is Mr. Bai's secretary. He knows. A man was pushed out. I don't know. The man shook his head nervously and stammered. I only saw Mr. Bai this morning. After that, I never saw him again. The man paused for a moment before whispering, Su On Yuan should know where Mr. White is. He usually follows Mr. White. Su On Yuan? The man nodded vigorously. What were the male lead and the villain doing? They didn't even want the female lead. Why were they fooling around with the villain all day? Were they gay? Where is he? Shi Shang tapped the table with the iron sword. He looked like a hooligan. I just saw him, heading towards the villa. The man didn't dare to hide anything. Take me there. Yes. Chapter 871. Shi Shang was brought to a tidy-looking villa. It was probably just tidied up and not renovated. Fortunately, the windows and everything else was still intact. In a world that was grey everywhere, this villa stood out from the rest and was particularly eye-catching. The secretary reached out to knock on the door, but before he could touch it, the door disappeared. Shi Shang calmly retracted his foot and looked at the secretary seriously. I slipped. The secretary swallowed his saliva and the muscles on his face twitched slightly. To be able to slip like this, it was also. Shi Shang swaggered in, but there was no one in the villa. Thinking about it, with such a big commotion outside, Mu Bai would know it was her as soon as he saw the explosion. It would be strange if he didn't run. But running away with the male lead, why did it feel so strange? After Mu Bai ran away, Shi Shang took over Mu Bai's business without hesitation. Before the person who built the business could enjoy it, it changed hands in the blink of an eye. Everyone was against it. A scary pervert had just left, and now an even more perverted one had come. How were they going to live? Of course, their opinions didn't matter. Shi Shang violently suppressed those who objected and sent people to bring Miao Miao into the city. If she loses even a strand of hair, you will be buried with her. Buried with a strand of hair? What a joke. Besides, even if she loses a strand of hair, you won't know. The pickup team didn't dare to object and obediently went to fetch the girl. The girl was also very confused. How long had she been in there? She had already taken over the nest? Thinking about it again, when she went in and blew up everything along the way, there didn't seem to be anything wrong. But Fong Chen was still very suspicious. What if this was an enemy's evil plan? So Fong Chen didn't agree and insisted that Shi Shang come to fetch her personally. The pickup team went back to report, and Shi Shang told them to take Miao Miao back. As for Fong Chen, he could do whatever he wanted, even if he died. The pickup team, this was a complicated love triangle. Hearing this, Fong Chen stopped making a fuss and followed them in. There was no one else who could do such a thing except for that woman. Shi Shang had taken over Mu Bai's position, but she didn't do anything. Fong Chen was responsible for everything in Central City. Of course, Shi Shang didn't really do nothing. She would give orders and let Fong Chen do it. Fong Chen was dog-tired every day. He suspected that the reason she let him in was to enslave him. Shi Shang even said, "You became the boss without mobilizing a single soldier. What else do you want?" Fong Chen was speechless. He had seen all kinds of ways to become a boss. This was the first time he had seen someone become a boss in such a strange way. A long time ago, he also wanted to be the boss, but he never thought that one day, he would be so loathsome. Was it because he was old? Asterisk flips table asterisk he wasn't the boss at all. The Shi Shang had classified the people in Central City into different groups. Each of them was in charge of their own territory. If anyone wanted to be promoted, they just needed to get rid of their boss. But I can't kill him. The consequences would be terrifying. Central City used to be a little messy, but after being organized by the Shi Shang, it quickly got back on track. Other than a little shortage of food, there were no other problems. The source of food was some plants and monsters in this world. Some monsters' meat was edible. Although they looked ugly, they tasted pretty good. So these people would organize people to go out and kill monsters every day and bring back food. Shi Shang followed them out twice, but this group of people didn't dare to let her follow them anymore. If she went out, she would either explode or chop into pieces. How were they going to bring back food? A slender man leaned against a tree trunk. The branches and leaves above his head swayed, causing the light to flicker. His expression was uncertain. Why did we give up on Central City? Someone came up from behind and stared at the man with burning eyes. We have an advantageous position. Why did we give up on Central City? You don't understand. Mu Bai lowered his eyes, hiding the emotions in them. I don't understand. Su Yuan raised his voice. You've done so much, but it's all for her? He had put in so much effort, but in the end, it was all for that woman. She had effortlessly controlled Central City. Mu Bai looked at Su Yuan. Do you think she can control Central City with just one sentence? Which one of those people in Central City was easy to get along with? If she wasn't capable, she would have been chopped into pieces. She was only capable if she could control those people. Su Yuan's expression changed slightly. He looked at Mu Bai with a complicated expression. But you... Mu Bai curled his lips slightly. His voice sounded like it came from the heavens. It's your turn. Shi Shang guessed that Mu Bai was still up to something, so she wasn't surprised when she saw countless monsters surrounding the city. Mu Bai wasn't Mu Bai if he didn't cause trouble. Shi Shang led people up to a temporary platform and saw a group of people standing in the middle of the monsters. He even waved at Shi Shang casually, as if he was meeting an old friend. Shi Shang jumped down from the platform and went straight for Mu Bai. The surrounding monsters wanted to stop him, but Shi Shang turned violent and went straight for Mu Bai. Shi Shang thought that Mu Bai was going to resist, but he didn't. He allowed Shi Shang to tie him up. Mu Bai maintained a smile on his face. I'm not running away. Can you not tie me up like this? This would ruin his image, all right? He was a gentleman. He had to be elegant. Shi Shang gritted his teeth. You're not running away? Are you going to commit suicide? Shi Shang put a few more layers of rope on Mu Bai and took away all the knives on him. Shi Shang turned back to Mu Bai. Are you going to tell me, or do you want me to torture you? Mu Bai played dumb. Tell me what? Shi Shang was practically gritting her teeth as she spat out the words one by one. Who sent you? No one sent me. Mu Bai smiled elegantly. Shi Shang raised his hand and grabbed Mu Bai's neck. Mu Bai's pupils constricted. He seemed to be panicking, but his emotions were fleeting. Calm down. Be elegant. Since no one sent you, does that mean you have a grudge against me? Your name is Mu Bai? Are you from the Mu family? Mu Bai was still smiling. Which Mu family? How many Mu families are there? Shi Shang sneered. Do you think I don't know? Mu Bai shrugged. Fine. My surname is just a coincidence. I have nothing to do with the Mu family you're talking about. Shi Shang narrowed his eyes. How did you get in? I hacked my way in. What's your motive? To kill you. What's your reason? Miss Shi Shang, you have too many questions. I have the right to refuse to answer them. Mu Bai paused. You've already asked me this question once. No matter how many times you ask me, my answer will always be the same. But your answer isn't the answer I want. Then we'll have to see if Miss Shi Shang can find the answer. He tilted his head and looked into the distance. It's almost time. Miss Shi Shang, I wish you good luck. There was blood at the corner of Mu Bai's mouth, but he didn't seem to care. He pulled the corners of his mouth and smiled slyly. Chapter 872. The light in Mu Bai's eyes quickly disappeared, and he turned into a soulless corpse. Shi Shang threw him aside with a grimace. His method of suicide had been upgraded, and he had learned to take poison. What did Mu Bai mean by that last sentence? Just as Shi Shang was puzzled, the ruins in the distance started to crack, as if someone had cut them open with a knife. Darkness seeped in and swallowed the ruins, and it quickly extended towards her. Shi Shang's heart skipped a beat. It's collapsing. F***CK. This idiot. System, send I back. No. I can't send you back. The system spoke very quickly, and the cold electronic voice sounded a little eerie. The system checked the portal, but it couldn't open it. Shi Shang stepped on his sword and flew quickly towards Central City. He took out his computer and said, "Send me the portal's data." She didn't have access to the portal's data. The system knew that the situation was critical, so it used its authority to send the data over. Shi Shang lowered his head and quickly scanned the data on the screen. The cracks were getting faster and faster. Shi Shang's fingers flew across the screen. Just as the cracks were about to reach her, she suddenly disappeared. The entire world turned into countless fragments, floating in the darkness. Shi Shang fell from the sky. The blinding light made it difficult for her to open her eyes. It took her a while to adjust. This was the system space. She was scared to death. The system didn't say what would happen to her if the plane collapsed, but she knew it wouldn't end well. How did Mu Bai do it? Shi Shang covered his butt and stood up from the ground. He looked at the screen that stood quietly beside him. It's Su On Yuen. An image appeared on the screen. It was a place filled with lava. It made people's faces turn red. Su On Yuen was holding a woman in his hand. If Shishang wasn't wrong, that woman should be AI Me. AI Me was awake, so Shishang couldn't hear anything. He only saw AI Me begging Su On Yuen, but Su On Yuen didn't move. AI Me then started to cry. Su On Yuen was probably annoyed. He chopped AI Me's neck with his hand. AI Me went limp and fell to the ground. Su On Yuen turned AI Me over. He used a strange dagger to stab Amy in the chest. Just as he stabbed her, the lava around them began to boil. Su On Yuen seemed to be suffering from some kind of pain. With great difficulty, he pressed down the dagger bit by bit. In the end, Su On Yuen was sent flying. He crashed into a nearby rock and rolled into the magma. The magma boiled and his figure disappeared. Almost at the same time, the surrounding scene began to shatter. Shishang blinked. Su On Yuen killed AI Me died, so the bit wall collapsed. Then the question is, Su On Yuen is from the original world. If he killed AI Me, the bit wall wouldn't collapse. Why did it collapse now? Why did he kill AI Me? This world was originally in danger of collapsing. The people who first built this world didn't intend for these people to kill, but I don't know why things turned out this way. AI Me was put into this world to correct this mistake. Her life is closely related to this world. If she dies, although the world won't collapse, it won't be far from it. Not to mention, there's external help. The system methodically explained to Shishang some knowledge that wasn't mentioned in the plot. External help. It should be the dagger in Su On Yuen's hand. That thing must have been given to him by Mu Bai. Mu Bai was also an outsider. His things must be external. The next question. Why did Su On Yuen kill AI Me? Mu Bai hypnotized Su On Yuen. Hypnotize? The retarded Mu Bai knew such a high-level skill? He used the male lead to kill the female lead, cause the world to collapse, and even close the passage to trap her in that world. The bit wall was virtual. The people inside were all virtual. But she wasn't. Her soul was real. If she wasn't strong enough, she would have disappeared with the bit wall. The system didn't speak. After waiting for Shishang for a long time, the system began to refresh the information. Name, Shishang morality points, 295000 health points, 35 contribution points, 47,000 mission grade, emission points, 65 item list, Queen's Crown, Ghost King's Heart, Dark Knight. Kiran Bloodshirshang glanced at the screen. For the first time, he was surprised. Only I's morality points are deducted? This didn't make sense. Was there a bug again? He didn't want to deduct so little either. But according to the statistics, the host's defense in the central city and the bit wall weren't destroyed by her. Killing people in this world was legal, so... Do you want to teleport? He didn't want to see this host at all. Although he didn't have a heart, he was frustrated. Shishang held the screen. Countless questions from the system began to fiddle with her. Mu Bai, this retarded person, could even close the passage. Something was wrong. She admitted that he was powerful. But, to be more powerful than her, she still felt that it was impossible. Something was wrong. She was just so confident. Don't ask why. Her morality was bad. Shishang went through the program again and again. The system was annoyed, but Shishang still maintained the same posture. There was no change. The system was bored. It began to run the self-checking system. It found that its speed couldn't keep up with the host. It was so tiring. She suddenly started to doubt life. What was the use of it? Next bit wall. Hearing these words, the system seemed to have heard good news. It immediately opened the passage. Initializing transmission. This place is too creepy. Why did you choose this place? There are few people here. It's not easy to be discovered. Hurry up and get her in. The rustling sounds kept ringing in Shershang's ears. She wasn't very conscious. It was a little blurry. It was probably because she was drugged. This damned battle royale. No money. Don't you want your daughter? F***ck. The space was silent for a few seconds. Then the voice roared, I'm telling you. I'll give you 2 more hours. If you don't send the money, don't blame us for being cruel. The phone probably fell to the ground. It was followed by the sound of something breaking. What's wrong? Someone asked. The person who replied was furious. That bastard said he didn't have money. He told us to do whatever we wanted. Then, what should we do now? Wait for 2 more hours. If he really doesn't send the money, we'll kill the hostage. Are we really going to kill the hostage? Kill. Asterisk the 26th bit wall had ended. System. My master is still not online. System master. My game hasn't ended yet. System. What's the use of having your master here? System master. Be your master. Chapter 873. Everyone knew that Ji Luiying was so poor that she had to eat dirt. Asterisk Shershang's consciousness wasn't very clear, and he accepted the plot in a daze. It was a supernatural story. The original host was Ji Luiying, daughter of Z City's famous lawyer, Ji Feng. She had just turned 18. Ji Feng pretended to be a successful elite on the outside, but in reality, he was a scumbag. He took bribes, helped some bad guys create false evidence, and forced the victim to confess. He didn't treat the original host well at home. When he was in a bad mood, he would kick and punch the original host. The original host grew up like this. At first, she would resist, but the more she resisted, the worse the abuse she received. Gradually, she didn't dare to resist, and became autistic. Recently, Ji Feng received a case to help a boss. In order to clear the boss name, Ji Feng pushed all the evidence to one of the boss subordinates, Chu Jing. This person was the female lead's brother. Ji Feng dared to mess with the female lead's brother, and he would get into big trouble. Although he successfully cleared the boss name, and Chu Jing was the scapegoat, it wasn't long before Ji Feng was exposed as a sadist. He abused his own daughter, and even killed her. Ji Feng's reputation was ruined, and he was brought to justice. Chu Jing was also acquitted. Everything seemed to be perfect. The female lead saved her brother, and punished the bad guys. But there was a very innocent person in all this. The original host was Ji Luiying. She was kidnapped. The kidnappers asked Ji Feng for ransom, but Ji Feng said that he didn't have money, and let the kidnappers kill her. After the kidnapping, the original host was made to look like she was tortured to death, and secretly put in Ji Feng's house. When Ji Feng came back and found his daughter dead, his first reaction wasn't to call the police, but to bury the body. While he was burying the body, he was caught red-handed. Later, a series of corruption cases were found, and innocent people were framed. Ji Luiying didn't do anything. Just because she was Ji Feng's daughter, she had to bear all this. When she died, everyone just sighed. And the one who caused all this was the male lead, Li Changyun. Li Changyun wasn't a ghost, but the female lead, Chu Miao, was. She died in an accident, but didn't reincarnate. Instead, she wandered the human world. She knew that someone framed her brother, but she was weak and couldn't help her brother. It was at this time she met Li Changyun. Li Changyun could see her. Based on his experience, Li Changyun felt that Chu Miao was very special. Chu Miao and Li Changyun reached an agreement. If Li Changyun helped her save her brother, Chu Miao had to stay by his side. That was why Ji Luiying had been kidnapped. The original owner's last wish was for Ji Feng and Li Changyun to receive the punishment they deserved. After receiving the plot, Shershang's consciousness was clearer than before. She blinked hard to make her sore eyes feel better. There were wooden planks all around her. She was tied up and thrown on the damp ground. The dampness seeped into her body. It was so cold that it was bone-piercing. Creak. The door opened, and Shang saw two tall men walk in. They should be the two kidnappers. Every time she came here, she would either meet kidnappers, robbers, or people all over the world who wanted to kill her. God damn it, how much longer is this escape mode going to last? Can't you try something new? I'm so sick of it. Okay, the plot in the novel seemed to have nothing to play with other than kidnapping. If you can't beat them, then kidnap them. Usually, kidnapping was the ending of this character. Those who could escape from the protagonist's hands after being kidnapped were either bosses or perverts. One of the tall and thin men glanced at Shang. Ji Feng really doesn't want this daughter anymore. Let's kill her first. The man in green sportswear next to the tall and thin man hesitated. Are we really going to kill her? They had originally agreed to kidnap her for some money. Ji Feng was a scumbag. He had a lot of crimes under his hands. There was a 90% chance that he wouldn't call the police. After all, what if the police accidentally found out something? Also, they didn't ask for much ransom. It was just to prevent Ji Feng from doing anything desperate. But who knew that Ji Feng was such an animal? He wouldn't even save his own daughter. The tall and thin man ignored the man in green. He pulled out a fruit knife and walked towards Shang. The man in green couldn't stop the tall and thin man. He could only watch as the tall and thin man stabbed the knife towards the person on the ground. Just as the knife was about to pierce her, he instinctively closed his eyes. It was as if someone had pressed the pause button. He didn't hear anything for a long time. He looked over and asked, Is he dead? He's dead. A crisp young girl's voice sounded. In the narrow wooden house, it sounded very eerie. You're going to die too. The man in green opened his eyes abruptly and saw the tall and thin man slowly falling to the ground. The blood-stained iron sword was pulled out of his body. Blood dripped onto the damp ground and soaked into it. Soon, the blood merged with the wet ground. The young girl standing beside the corpse had a cold look in her eyes. The corners of her mouth were slightly raised. This girl was completely different from the girl they had met before. Whether it was her expression or her gaze, it was as if they were two different people. A cold wind blew in from nowhere. The man in green started to tremble. I didn't want to kill you. Yes. It's him. He wanted to kill you. Shang pursed his lips. But you're an accomplice. I'm not. The man in green suddenly turned around and tried to run out of the house. Shang always believed in erasing potential threats like this first. After dealing with the man in green, Shang felt melancholy. He had to dispose of the corpse again. How annoying! She recovered her strength in the house for a while. Her body was still very weak. When the effects of the drug wore off, Shang came out of the wooden house. As soon as he stepped out, he was shocked. This was King mass grave. He didn't know why there was a wooden house in the middle of it. The cold wind blew in the mass grave. It was very creepy. Judging from the clothes of the original owner, it should be summer. But here, it felt like winter. It was covered in snow and the wind was biting cold. Shang looked back at the corpse in the house. These two people were really bold. They even dared to come to a mass grave. Shang thought for a while and decided to dispose of the corpse. These two people were most likely sent by the male lead. What if the male lead's men came looking for them? Although he wasn't afraid of being found, he couldn't be bothered to do anything if they tried to frame him. So, it was better to dispose of the corpse. Shang threw the two corpses to a more desolate place and then left the place. The mountain road was crooked and there were some strange plants growing on the side of the road. Shang found that although these roads were a bit desolate, there were still traces of people walking on them. It was strange that there were still people in this desolate place. After leaving the mountain, Shang saw a small mountain village. The village looked very simple. Every house was a thatched hut. Dusk was falling and smoke was curling up from the kitchen chimneys. There were still people living in this village. #today's Waha tickets #there was a problem with this group of Qing people before. Everyone knows about it. The subscription for the full text of this book costs 80 plus RMB. The subscription for a high VE account costs 50 plus RMB. So now the minimum number of fans is 5,000. Some Cherub users may not have that many fans after using the book. So, you can add fans when you have enough. We still welcome you. You can also surf the book review section. I'm here almost every day. Nothing can be accomplished without rules. Please understand. Chapter 874. Shishang didn't know where this place was and chose to enter the village. There was a huge locust tree at the entrance of the village. It looked like a locust tree, but its leaves were bigger. Shishang wasn't sure if it was a locust tree or not. A few children were squatting under the locust tree. They formed a circle and looked at her as soon as she appeared. Their young faces were stiff and expressionless. Their eyes were wide open, and there were almost no eyeballs in their eyes. Only the whites of their eyes were left, like the eyes of a dead fish. It was strange. As expected of a supernatural novel. Even a random village would have a supernatural setting. Level up and kill monsters. Oh no, kill ghosts. After all, this was a supernatural language. The host was going to cause trouble again. Hit her. A naughty child suddenly stood up, grabbed a stone on the ground, and threw it at her. The other naughty children followed suit and picked up stones to throw at her. Shishang was depressed. Why were these naughty children so disobedient? A few minutes later, the naughty children were tied up and began to howl at the top of their lungs. Let go of us, let go of us. You monster, let go of us, help. There's a monster coming, Grandpa, help. I don't want to be eaten by a monster, sob. Shishang squatted in front of them, pointed at his face, and asked seriously, Look at me, which part of me looks like a monster? Monster my ass. I am a decent person. Wah. The naughty children collectively howled. Their voices were ear-piercing, and the whole village was filled with the sound of children crying. The children were so loud that the villagers in the village naturally heard them and hurriedly ran out of the village. Good grandson, De Zhuang. One by one, the villagers ran over, but they were all old people. Shishang didn't see any young people among them. These old people looked quite normal, but when they saw Shishang, they were all on guard. Shishang squatted in front of the naughty children. The villagers surrounded him and whispered to each other. One of the old men stood out. He was wearing a patched green cloth shirt and had a goatee. He was very thin, and his face seemed to be just skin. He walked with a slight limp. Shishang heard someone call him the village head. The village chief sized up Shishang with his slightly cloudy eyes and asked in a hoarse and unpleasant voice, Little girl, who are you? Shishang stood up. I'm just passing by. The village chief frowned slightly. Since you're passing by, why did you kidnap the children of our village? They started it first. How can you blame me? Shishang shrugged and blinked innocently. Why are you guys being naughty again? The village chief scolded the children who were still making a ruckus. Clearly, this was not the first time these brats had done something like this. She's a monster. A child shouted. What monster? The village chief's expression turned even more solemn. The few of you, hurry up and apologize to that sister. She is a monster. Drive away the monster. Drive away the monster. Chase away the monsters. Chase away the monsters. The naughty children shouted the slogan in unison. The village chief's skinny face was filled with anger. You lot, I'll deal with you later. Little girl, don't be angry. These children just like to make a ruckus. The village chief suppressed his anger and explained to Shishang, Our village is too remote. It's rare for people to come here even once in a few years. There are many rumors in the mountains, so it's inevitable that the children will believe them. Little girl, you look like you're from the city. Please forgive us and don't bicker with these children. Shishang sneered. They threw stones at me, but you don't bicker with them because they're young. Does that mean you'll forgive them for killing your family members because they're young? The village chief was a little confused by Shi Shang's reaction. Little girl, we're not very cultured. I'm really sorry. I think the village chief is quite cultured. The village chief looked ashamed. My mother can read. I learned some from her when I was young. I'm not cultured. Shi Shang did not comment. It was none of her business. She was just saying it casually. The village chief thought for a moment. Little girl, I'll get someone to punish them later. What do you think? Drive away the monsters. Drive away the monsters. The group of naughty children were still shouting slogans. Their expressions were stiff, and their voices overlapped like a repeater. The other villagers did not say anything. Some of the elders looked a little anxious. Perhaps one of them was their grandson. Shi Shang took a step back and waved his hand, indicating that they could take the naughty children and get out of here. The parents quickly came forward and rescued their children. They carried them in their arms and walked out. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared in front of Shi Shang. Ahem. Little girl, did you get lost in the mountains? It's getting dark. Why don't you stay in our village for the night? I can also express my apology. No need. She knew there was something fishy going on. She was not going. Little girl, it's dangerous in the mountains. You'll be in trouble if you meet a wild beast in the middle of the night. The village chief kindly advised her. Shi Shang did not shy away at all. It's still better than meeting people with ulterior motives. The village chief was speechless. He seemed a little angry, as if his kindness was being trampled on. If that's the case, then you're on your own. You can leave the village after passing through here. After crossing 2 mountains, you'll be outside. The village chief did not linger after he finished speaking. He told the others to disperse and go home. Shi Shang stood under the big locust tree, looking a little confused. Something was not right. This place was so remote that there should be no signal. How did the 2 kidnappers call Ji Feng? This was easy to explain. After all, there was a satellite phone. Although this place was backward, it was not deep in the forest where the satellite signal could cover. More importantly, why did the 2 kidnappers bring her to such a remote place? Did they have cat biscuits? Shi Shang could not verify whether the kidnappers had cat biscuits or not. Every family in the village had their doors tightly shut. There was no habit of not closing their doors at night like in the mountains. Sure enough, the books were all lies. Shi Shang walked all the way to the center of the village. There was a small square here, facing the ancestral hall. The sky was dark. He walked a few steps forward and saw the words on the plaque of the ancestral hall. Ancestral Hall of the Chu family. Chu, the female lead's surname? Oh my god, this is the female lead's quest. Let's clear it first. Are you sure you want to clear it and not sabotage it? However, the system quickly realized that the host was just joking. She had left the village directly. How could something like meddling in other people's business happen to its host? Flips table. Since you don't care, then what the hell are you talking about? Asterisk little fairy. Why not clear it? Shi Shang, there's no money. You have nothing better to do. Little fairy, there are votes. Shi Shang, no. Cherub, I don't want to vote. Shi Shang, draw sword. Chapter 875. Looking at the hazy village shrouded in the night, Shi Shang refused. Why did they come back to the same place after so many twists and turns? The insects chirped in the summer night, rendering the silence of the night. At this time, the village was dark, without any light. Shi Shang rubbed his arms, the hair on his body standing on end. It was so scary. Shi Shang returned to the village. The path paved with bluestones was slippery. Meow. A cat meowed in the darkness. Shi Shang turned his head slightly and looked at the top of the wall. A small black cat was squatting there, staring at him with its green eyes. There was an evil aura all over its body, which made Sher Shang very uncomfortable. Meow. It meowed again. Its voice was soft, like a newborn kitten. Little Black. Little Black. A child's voice came from the wall. Come down, Little Black. Meow. Don't meow. Come down. The child was a little anxious, and his voice was very low. Come down, okay? I'll make you something delicious tomorrow. Little Black was probably persuaded by the delicious food. It jumped down from the top of the wall and disappeared in front of Sher Shang. Sher Shang stared at the empty top of the wall for a while, then turned and walked to the corner of the wall. He stepped on the stone next to him, climbed up the wall, and looked inside. There was a yard inside, with some shelves in the middle and 2 water tanks in the corner. A child was squatting next to the tanks, holding a dark thing in his arms. Sher Shang watched as his hand passed through the pitch-black object. He really did pass through it, but the child seemed to be caressing it. Be good and don't come out, okay? If you're discovered, you'll be in trouble. Be good and I'll come to see you tomorrow. The child put the thing into one of the tanks and covered it with dry straw. After doing all this, the child tiptoed to his feet and sneaked into a room. Sher Shang shuddered and jumped down in disgust. It was very creepy. She continued to walk forward. This time, she didn't encounter anything strange. Unknowingly, she walked to the ancestral hall. She looked at the ancestral hall first, then turned back. In the open space in front of the ancestral hall, a child suddenly appeared. Sher Shang remembered that child. He was the one who shouted the loudest at the entrance of the village. At this moment, he stood there silently, like a ghost. Sher Shang was standing outside the square, and the child was standing in the middle of the square. Normally, Sher Shang would be able to see where the child came from. But no, when she turned her head, he was already standing there. Ah, there's a ghost. Yes, this was a normal reaction. Sher Shang only glanced at him, then looked away and continued to stare at the plaque in the ancestral hall. The child walked towards the Sher Shang. He stopped every 3 steps and dawdled for a long time before he reached the Sher Shang. A sour stench assaulted her senses. She didn't know how long it had been since she last bathed. There was still no expression on his face. He spoke in a rigid manner as if he was reading a script. Leave this place. Leave this place. Leave this place. The childish voice spread out in the dark night, but was blocked by the surrounding buildings, forming an echo. Sher Shang looked at him indifferently and prepared to walk towards the ancestral hall. Just as she lifted her foot, a few more children appeared in the ancestral hall. Just like the first child, they seemed to have appeared out of thin air. Leave this place. The children spoke in unison. They didn't seem to be afraid of disturbing the villagers. They didn't lower their voices, and the whole space was filled with their overlapping voices. What were these naughty children trying to do? Footsteps suddenly sounded. A group of villagers ran out from various alleys with torches, and soon the whole space was lit up. The voices disappeared, and the children disappeared. Only the first child stood in front of Sher Shang. He didn't react to the appearance of the villagers. His eyes were dull, and he began to walk in a direction. That's Da Shuang. He's sleepwalking again. Don't call him. Let him go back by himself, someone said. Da Shuang walked along an alley and gradually disappeared into the darkness. A few villagers followed him, but most of them stayed. The village chief came late, wearing a coat. When he saw Sher Shang, he immediately pulled a long face and asked rudely, "Little girl, didn't you say that you were leaving the village? Why did you come back?" "I walked and came back. Otherwise, how could I fly?" "Rubbish. I walked for half a day in vain. I couldn't even fly out." "The village chief asked you not to leave. It's not easy to walk in the mountains at night." Villager A complained, "You took the village chief's kindness for granted." Villager B said, "Don't say anything. It's not easy for the little girl." Villager A said angrily, "She deserved it. She didn't listen to us." The villager waved his hand, indicating for them to be quiet. He showed the kindness of an elder. "Little girl, it's getting late. I'd better arrange a place for you to stay." Shi Shang didn't answer the village chief. Instead, he asked another question. "Didn't you hear anything just now?" These people didn't seem to have heard the sound, and they didn't mention anything about what happened just now. But there were so many of them, and they suddenly appeared. "Wasn't that even stranger?" "What sound?" a villager asked. The torchlight flickered in the night wind, and Shi Shang couldn't see the emotions in their eyes. He couldn't tell if they were lying or if they really didn't hear anything. "We're looking for the children," the village chief explained spontaneously. "They were punished when they went back just now. Maybe they were angry, so they ran away. Children are naughty. It would be troublesome if they went missing in the middle of the night and ran to the mountains." Everyone was worried, so they asked everyone to look for them. "We didn't hear anything." "What sound are you talking about?" "It's fine if you didn't hear anything." Shi Shang crossed his arms. "Then go ahead and look for them. Don't worry about me. I'll leave tomorrow." The villagers. The others looked at the village chief. The village chief was a little hesitant. In the end, he waved his hand, indicating for them to look for the children first. These people seemed to be very experienced. They quickly found the children. The children followed behind the adults with their heads down, looking very depressed. "Village chief, De Zhuang hasn't been found." "He's not with them?" The villagers shook their heads. The village chief didn't believe it and asked the children a few more questions. The children shook their heads with stiff faces. Shi Shang stood at the side. The more he looked, the stranger he felt. These children were a little repulsed by the adults. Looking at their behavior, it was obvious that they wouldn't get too close to the adults. Even if someone pulled them, they would break free very quickly. And these adults, that was even more interesting. Facing the children's abnormal behavior, no one was surprised. It was as if they had always been like this. Who was the ghost? Logically speaking, if it was a ghost, she shouldn't be able to see it. After all, the original owner was just an ordinary person. She didn't have the yin-yang eye, and she didn't learn any magic. But now she could see both sides. There were only two possibilities. First, there was something strange about this place. Seeing that she came back again and again, there was definitely something strange about this place. Second, there was something wrong with these people. Seeing the strange phenomenon she saw, there was definitely something wrong with these people. Chapter 876. To sum it up, there was something wrong with all of them. As cannon fodder, she definitely wouldn't have a good ending. "So, let's tie them all up." "I'm so smart." The villagers were about to continue looking for people when Shi Shang made his move. The villagers at the back were the first to suffer. Before they could react, they were knocked unconscious by Shi Shang. "Little girl, what are you doing?" Hearing the noise, the people in front turned around and saw Shi Shang holding a sword. They all shouted. Shi Shang took out a few military smoke bombs from his space and threw them at the people over there. Smoke filled the air and covered the crowd in the blink of an eye. However, Shi Shang didn't hear the sound of people falling to the ground. The smoke surged and a figure rushed out, raising a hoe in his hand and smashing it at Shi Shang. Clang! The hoe was blocked by the iron sword. The man was very strong and Shi Shang's hand was numb. Being blocked, the man immediately retreated and continued to swing the hoe. People came out of the smoke one after another. They were all holding various tools in their hands. Some were hoes, some were sickles, and some were shovels. They used all the farming tools they could use. These people didn't react to the smoke bombs. Then they weren't human? The smoke bombs didn't work, so Shi Shang could only use his hands. The body of the original owner was too weak. She was almost paralyzed from exhaustion after dealing with these things that were most likely not human. It wasn't easy to tie everyone up. At this time, the smoke had dispersed. The people lying on the ground were actually the children. Shi Shang. The development of this plot was a bit confusing. The development of this plot is also a bit confusing. Normally, you would go through hardships and dangers and finally discover the truth. But you just came up and killed all the important characters. How can the plot continue? If it was in a TV series, 30 episodes would be reduced to 1 episode. How can you stall for time? This kind of screenwriter would lose his job at any time. A screenwriter who doesn't stall for time isn't a good screenwriter. Shi Shang tied the people up and waited for the people who had just left to come back. After putting them all down, he swept the village to make sure there were no missing people before returning to the square. The sky was turning white, and the village was very quiet. There were no sounds of roosters or other animals. A large group of people were tied back to back in a circle. A few children were also tied to one side. Who the hell knew which one was the real boss? Just in case, it was better to tie them all up. Shi Shang dragged a broken chair and walked slowly to the square. She sat down with her legs crossed. "Who the hell are you?" the village chief asked in a hoarse voice. His thin face was slightly distorted. "I'm just passing by." Shi Shang pouted and blew out a breath. "I'm really just passing by. What do you want?" "There's nothing in our village. You can't get anything from us." "I don't want anything from you either." Even if she was so poor that she had to eat dirt, she wouldn't go so far as to rob a village that looked so poor, okay? If he was going to do it, he had to do it big time. "Then what do you want to do?" The village chief was so angry that his voice cracked. Shi Shang leaned forward slightly. His gaze swept across the children and slowly landed on the villagers. "I just want to know, between you and them, who's the real ghost?" "What ghost?" Some of the villagers were confused. "Why are there ghosts here? We're all humans, not ghosts." Every villager insisted that they were humans, not ghosts. The group of children had already woken up, but they didn't make a sound. Instead, they stared at the villagers as if this was the first time Shi Shang had seen them. The villagers refused to budge. Shi Shang turned his gaze to the children. "Do you have anything to say? Are you a Taoist priest?" One of the older children asked her. "No." After hearing Shi Shang's answer, the child immediately pulled a long face. "Then what's the point of telling you? If you don't want to talk, then forget it. I'll just kill them all." Anyway, these people were all dead. She could at least get out, right? If she couldn't get out, then the entire village would explode. The children. They're ghosts. One of the children spoke up. His voice was no longer stiff. "They're all dead." "Blockhead." The child who spoke was reprimanded. Blockhead wasn't the oldest, but he wasn't the youngest either. His eyes reddened. "I don't want to go on like this. Even death is better than this." "Blockhead, what nonsense are you talking about?" "Blockhead is right. I can't stand it either." With a start, the children began to complain all at once. They said that 2 years ago, there was a fire in the village. At that time, the whole village was on fire. The children had agreed to go to the mountains to play, and that was how they escaped. When they returned, the people in the village were all dead, and only the few of them were left. But the next day, they found that the village was intact, and their relatives were still there. The fire seemed to be a dream. At first, they also believed that they were dreaming. But gradually, they found that there were many things wrong with their relatives. For example, they didn't come out during the day when the sun was up. They only went out to work when the sun went down. When it was time to eat, they always let them eat first, but they never ate. These strange phenomena weren't enough for them to find anything unusual. It wasn't until Da Zhuang's grandmother gave him a dead rat, but his grandmother said that it was braised pork. The other children's families gradually had the same situation. If they didn't eat, they wouldn't force them. They just ate those things in front of them. Only then did they realize that their relatives were already dead. They were burned to death by the fire. The people they were seeing now weren't their relatives at all. This strange phenomenon frightened the children, and they made an agreement to run away from home. But no matter where they ran, they would be found by the people in the village. After running away a few times, they didn't run anymore. They acted obedient and sensible, trying to let their guards down. A few months later, they found an opportunity. A stranger entered the village. It was a young couple. The villagers were very enthusiastic about them. They didn't even care about them. The children found an opportunity to escape, but they walked for a long time and couldn't find a way out. There were wild beasts in the mountains. Tired and hungry, they could only choose to return to the village. But the village was empty. They didn't see a single villager. They found the ancestral hall all the way. All the villagers were gathered outside the ancestral hall. They saw the couple from before being burned alive. This incident left a deep impression on the children. Later, they didn't dare to run away. They could only pretend to live in the village. They never dared to eat the food at home. They could only go out at night to find food. It wasn't the first time that outsiders had come to the village. Half a year ago, there were people who came. They ended up like the couple and were burned to death. Chapter 877. Shi Shang propped up his chin and listened to the story. He asked one of the children, "How did you suddenly appear last night?" Last night, these children appeared out of thin air. Since they were not ghosts, how could they appear out of thin air? Could it be that he had special abilities? There is a passage under the square. The child did not hide it. They heard that the passage was dug by their ancestors. As for what it was used for, they did not know. When they were young, they liked to play in it. The adults did not forbid them. They were very familiar with the passage below. It was not difficult for the petite child to appear in the square without making a sound. "Little girl, don't be fooled by them. They are the ghosts." The group of adults also began to make noise. "Little girl, you have to believe us. They are the ghosts. They are lying to you." The villagers' story was the complete opposite of the children's. They said that these children died in the fire. After they buried the bodies, the children suddenly came back one after another 7 days. They had no temperature, no shadow, and were very hungry. They ate everything. They were very afraid. Although these were their children, who could accept that their children had become ghosts? Most importantly, their appearance was too frightening. At midnight, they did not recognize their relatives. When it was not serious, they would just beat people. When it was serious, they would eat people. They had never heard of a ghost eating a human. If it was not so, they would not be so afraid of them. They found people to take them away, but the people they found were all killed by them. The couple they mentioned was also the people who came to take them away. The children said that the adults were ghosts, and the adults said that the children were ghosts. So who was the ghost? Shi Shang looked up at the sky. The sun was not far away. In a while, it would shine on the square. "Little girl, you have to believe us. We will not harm you. If you really believe them, you will die." The village chief was a little anxious. He kept looking at the sun from the corner of his eyes. Shi Shang held his chin and did not move. He waited for the sun to shine. As the sun came closer, the villagers' faces became worse. When the first ray of sunlight shone on a villager's body, his skin suddenly made a sizzling sound. His exposed skin began to rot as if it had been splashed with sulfuric acid. "See, I told you they were ghosts." The children pointed at the villagers. "We are not afraid of the sun." "Who told you that ghosts are afraid of sunlight?" Shi Shang glanced at them with a smile on his face. "Besides, you have human bodies. How can you be afraid of sunlight? Are you retarded?" The voices of the children stopped abruptly, leaving only the screams of the villagers. Shi Shang stepped forward to untie the villagers. As he untied them, he said, "What are you? Spirits? Or a demon? Or a ghost?" The villagers were untied and helped to walk under the eaves of the ancestral hall, blocking the sunlight. The children were still exposed to the sunlight. Other than their pale faces, which were a little abnormal. There was nothing different about them. How did you know? Shi Shang's lips curled into a smile. You guys smell too bad. Corpses were corpses after all. They would always carry a rotting smell. They struggled to get up. Shi Shang calmly stretched out her hand and casually tapped the air twice with her fingertips. Don't waste your energy. The ropes used to tie you guys up are made of extra material. You bunch of useless brats won't be able to break free. The children's faces changed dramatically. They lowered their heads and looked at the ropes that tied them up. The hemp ropes were faintly golden. The more they struggled, the more uncomfortable they felt. They looked at the ropes that were thrown on the ground and tied up the villagers. They were just ordinary hemp ropes. She already knew. With this knowledge, they knew that this woman in front of them was not to be trifled with. They began to beg for mercy. Let us go. We were also threatened. We are here to watch over these people. Please let us go. We didn't do it on purpose. The children begged for mercy. They were just spirits in the mountains. Suddenly, one day, a man caught them and forced them into the bodies of these people, asking them to watch over the villagers. If they didn't obey, they would die. It wasn't easy for them to cultivate to this level. They didn't want to die so inexplicably. They could only agree to that man. What's that man's name? Someone was actually plotting a conspiracy here. I don't know. We don't even know what he looks like. He is shrouded in a layer of black fog. Shi Shang's cold gaze swept over them. The children trembled. We really don't know. Please let us go. We didn't hurt them. We just trapped them. We only killed a few people. They didn't listen to us and ran out. We did it according to that man's orders. We really didn't want to. It's none of my business. Shi Shang rolled his eyes. They didn't kill her. Previously, these spirits didn't seem to want to kill her. They just wanted to chase her away. Every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. Look, the person you asked for is over there. Shi Shang raised his chin at the villagers under the eaves. The villagers' skin would burn when they came in contact with the sun. This also started after the children came back from the dead. They didn't know the exact reason. The villagers didn't expect the ending to be like this. Their children died, and in the end, their bodies were taken over by strange things. How could they accept this? However, the villagers still planned to let the spirits go. Shi Shang didn't comment on this. Anyway, she wasn't the one who was injured. Why should she worry? Wait. Shi Shang called out to the spirits. The spirits turned around. Their attitude was respectful and fearful. Great Immortal, do you have any other orders? You said that there was another child. Where's De Zhuang? The villagers had been looking for him. However, until this matter was resolved, this child still hadn't shown up. De Zhuang? He's a living person. We were afraid that people would find out that he was different. That's why we followed him. The spirit's words were like a stone that stirred up 1,000 ripples. De Zhuang was a living person? The villagers thought that these children were ghosts. They didn't think that De Zhuang was a living person. After all, he had also met with the accident and been buried with these children. It was just that he had returned later than these children. Shi Shang asked them to describe De Zhuang's appearance. He looked similar to the child she saw last night. She went straight to the yard. The villagers didn't know why, but they followed her. After kicking the door open, Shi Shang saw the 2 large water tanks. The straw on top of the tanks was gone. Shi Shang went closer to the water tank. A foul smell hit him. Half of the tank was filled with black liquid. Shi Shang covered his mouth and nose. This was blood. It was accumulated blood. As for whether it was human blood or animal blood, he didn't know. The cat she saw last night should have been raised with this. Chapter 878. The fact that De Zhuang was alive made the villagers very happy. They continued to look for De Zhuang in the village, but they couldn't find De Zhuang anywhere. Shi Sheng didn't have time to look for him. She had to go back and settle accounts with the scumbag. However, Shi Sheng followed the path pointed out by the villagers and soon came back. The villagers led her out in person. Shi Sheng came back again after the villagers went out. It was the same for several times. All the villagers could go out, but Shi Sheng couldn't. After a few more times, Shi Sheng was a little angry. Where is Ai's sword? There should be a wizardry barrier in this place, like a wizardry barrier that only certain people could go out, such as the descendants of the Chu family. Chu Miao must have something to do with this place. It was not difficult to guess what it was. It was either her father or her mother. Anyway, someone was from the Chu family. No matter who her father or mother was from the Chu family, she had to go out now. Damn it, she couldn't go out. Where is Ai's sword? Shi Sheng was going to cut down the wizardry barrier. As for whether it would bring any consequences to the Chu family village, it was completely out of her consideration. Damn it, she was going to die. How could she think about others? She was not stupid. Shi Sheng walked around and found a weak point. The wizardry barrier was cut down, but there was only a small gap, just enough for her to go through. As soon as she went out, the gap closed automatically. Shi Sheng looked at her iron sword. Did her sword become weaker? Or was the self-healing ability of the wizardry barrier too strong? Shi Sheng gripped her sword with both hands and swung it at the mountain range opposite her. The surging sword chi slashed out, carving out a deep trench in the ground. The shockwave caused the leaves on both sides to dance in the air. It's not weaker. Shi Sheng murmured. That's good. So your focus is on the fact that the iron sword hasn't weakened? This wizardry barrier is very strange. Don't you care? It's the heroine's job. It's none of my business. Shi Sheng said angrily. She was speechless. Crack. In a secret room, the wooden tablet on the incense table cracked. The white-haired woman sitting cross-legged below opened her eyes slightly. She looked at the wooden tablet with a somewhat dazed expression. Enchantment. The woman was not old. On the contrary, she was very young. However, she had a head of white hair. She stood up, her white robe dragging on the ground. She slowly walked towards the incense table and reached out to grab the wooden tablet. The cracks on the wooden tablet slowly disappeared, and it was as good as new. The woman let go of her hand and took a step back. She spat out a mouthful of blood, which splashed onto the wooden tablet. The dark red blood slowly seeped into the wooden tablet and disappeared. The woman looked at the wooden sign, her fingernails gripping the edge of the incense table. She seemed to be struggling with a decision in her heart. Finally, she heaved a long sigh. The woman bowed to the wooden tablet and left the secret room with light steps. Shi Sheng finally returned to the human world after many twists and turns, but she didn't have a single cent on her. In the end, she could only rely on herself to return to City Z. She had been missing for almost a month, but there hadn't been any major news in City Z. That meant that Ji Feng was still fine. It seemed that without her as evidence, the male lead wouldn't dare to act rashly. Ji Feng was able to live until today, so he couldn't be a brainless person. He was very cautious, and even the slightest movement would alert the enemy. Shi Sheng climbed through the window and returned to the host's room. The room hadn't changed much, except for a layer of dust. Shi Sheng opened the door and went out. There was also a layer of dust outside. Ji Feng probably hadn't been back for a long time. In the past, Ji Feng would come back because he had someone to vent on. Now that there was no one to vent on, it was normal that he didn't come back. Shi Sheng checked the host's finances. There wasn't much. Ji Feng wouldn't give her too much money. The host had probably secretly saved up this small amount of savings. But at least she could eat a good meal, so she didn't have to eat dirt anymore. Shi Sheng went out to a restaurant to reward her stomach. She also bought some clothes. The clothes in the host's wardrobe were all gray. It wasn't the style she liked at all. She liked dark colors, but she liked black, dark blue, and these colors, not gray. Shi Shang carried all kinds of bags and climbed through the window. As soon as he entered the room, there was a sound in the living room. Shi Shang put down the things and listened for a while at the door. He heard Ji Feng's voice. "You take care of this. Don't let them get ahead of you. We're already at a disadvantage. If we let them get ahead of us, we'll lose." That's the CEO of Chung Feng Group. We can't offend him, right? The person who answered hesitated. Bang! Ji Feng slammed the heavy object on the table. He said angrily, "We're already at this point. If we're late, who knows what Li Chengyun will do? You want to die, but I don't. If you don't take care of this, you know the consequences." Yes. I'll go now." The person hurriedly left. After the door closed, Shi Shang opened the door and went out. Ji Feng sat on the sofa facing Shi Shang's room. He looked up and saw Shi Shang in black casual clothes. Ji Feng's expression changed quickly. He looked at Shi Shang from head to toe. He was a bit uncertain. "Ji Luiying? You don't even recognize your own daughter after a month." Shi Shang walked towards the sofa. "Or have you forgotten about your own daughter?" Ji Feng frowned. This damn girl dared to talk to him like that. "No, she was still alive. How did you come back?" Ji Feng's tone sounded like he was talking to a daughter who was traveling, not a daughter who was kidnapped. "Take a guess." "Ji Luiying." Ji Feng threw the things in his hands on the glass table in front of him. "You've been out for a month and you've grown so bold? How dare you talk to I like that? What can you do about it?" Shi Shang raised his chin. Ji Feng was in a fit of anger. After being provoked by Shi Shang, he immediately picked up the ashtray on the table and threw it at him. Shi Shang tilted his head slightly. The ashtray hit the door behind him and left a dent. "It's rare for a father to be like you," Shi Shang said faintly. Shi Shang had seen his fair share of scumbag fathers, so he didn't find Ji Feng's behavior strange. People's desires were limitless. Some people could control their desires, while others couldn't. People who couldn't control their desires would sacrifice the people around them for their own goals. It was pitiful to be the daughter of such a person. Even if the original owner didn't die, Ji Feng would probably sell her to someone else in exchange for a bigger profit. Ji Feng was infuriated by Shi Shang's words. Coupled with Shi Shang's evasive behavior, Ji Feng was even more enraged. He took out a stick from the drawer of the coffee table and swung it at Shi Shang's head. He looked like he wanted to beat him to death. ## begging for Wang Zai milk-flavored ticket # Wang Zai Xiao Mantu. Chapter 879. Ji Feng used his brain. He was no match for a veteran like Shi Shang in terms of physical strength. Even if she was a weakling, she could easily defeat Ji Feng with her iron sword. Ji Feng's face was pressed against the floor. His hands and feet were tied behind his back. His current position was humiliating and his face was burning with pain. "Ji Luiying, are you trying to rebel?" Ji Feng shouted in a certain direction. His voice was hoarse and his eyes were ferocious. "Let go of I now." Shi Shang sat on the sofa, the stick in her hand that Ji Feng had taken out earlier. She bounced it up and down. "Let you go? Do you want to do it again? But my hands are sore and I don't want to hit you anymore." Ji Feng's face was red. "Ji Luiying, you're asking for it." "Mr. Ji." Shi Shang narrowed his eyes. "A wise man submits to circumstances. You should have told many people this. Why don't you understand it when it comes to yourself?" Shi Shang spread his hands. "It's obvious that I have the upper hand now. Do you think I'll let go of you?" "Ji Luiying, I won't let you off." What had this little B***TCH done outside for the past month? How could she be so bold? In the past, she would tremble in fear whenever he said a word. Just think about it. You won't walk out of this house alive today. Shi Shang smiled faintly. Ji Feng repeated Shi Shang's words in his mind. He suddenly shouted, "You dare to kill someone?" Shi Shang sneered. It's not the first time. Why wouldn't I dare? Her tone was arrogant and her brows were filled with confidence. Even though she was wearing ordinary clothes, it seemed that it could not hide the noble aura on her body. She should be standing above the 9 heavens, a ruler who could point out the world. Shi Shang took the phone and placed it in front of Ji Feng. Do you want to call the police? Ji Feng stared blankly at the screen. On the dial screen, the 3 digits of 110 were already dialed. He just needed to press the button with his chin. Ji Feng looked up at the woman on the sofa. She had already stood up and was holding a shiny iron sword. How could this be Ji Luiying? I gave you a chance to call the police. Shi Shang shrugged and walked up to Ji Feng. He lowered his head and looked at him. Ji Feng, do you know why you lost? If I were you, I would call the police. I'm going to die anyway. Ji Feng's eyes widened. The cold light approached, transforming from a single line into a powerful beam of light. Ji Feng was just cannon fodder, so killing him was easy. However, dealing with his corpse was a little troublesome. Fortunately, she didn't touch too many things in the original owner's room. After cleaning up the traces, she took the body to dispose of it. After leaving Z City and heading to the suburbs, the Shi Shang flew all the way to the wilderness and finally found a place to dump the body. She threw the corpse down from the sky and watched it disappear into the dense forest. Half of the revenge mission was completed. Only the male lead was left. The male lead wasn't easy to kill. She could only use her brain. Using my brain is something that I refuse to do. It would be much better to just deal with it so simply and crudely. If you cut corners to complete the mission like this, you will be beaten. Did I not take revenge for the original owner? You should report it, right? How could he have cut corners? Ji Feng is dead. Isn't it just revenge? What else do you want? I don't want to talk to the host. Shi Shang stepped on the iron sword and left. Just as she left, a flock of birds suddenly flew up from the forest below. A figure slowly floated into the air. He was wrapped in a strange black robe. His whole body was hidden in it. The hood covered his head. Under the backlight, it was impossible to see what he looked like. He lowered his head slightly and looked at the place where Shi Shang had just dumped the body. After a while, he floated in the opposite direction of Shi Shang. His figure blended into the night and became fainter and fainter. The news of Ji Feng's disappearance spread like wildfire in Z City. Those who had been bullied by Ji Feng were secretly happy, but no one came out to say anything. After all, they didn't know what was going on with Ji Feng. What if Ji Feng came back? At that time, the unlucky one would be the one who leaked the news. Everyone was watching. The Cheng Feng group, which had been in a lawsuit with Ji Feng recently, was the focus of attention. The police had investigated it once and twice, but there was no result. On the 5th day of Ji Feng's disappearance, someone released the first piece of news. It said that Ji Feng had helped a rapist who had raped a child. At that time, there was sufficient evidence, but the plaintiff changed her statement in the end. An innocent person was used as a substitute for the rapist. If there was a first, there would be a second. There were countless cases like this. Ji Feng used perjury and violence to coerce the plaintiff to change her statement. The person who should have been convicted was acquitted, and the innocent person became the scapegoat. This trend made some people in the industry who didn't like Ji Feng for a long time come out to help those who had been bullied by Ji Feng. However, when the person involved went missing, no matter how much these people made a fuss, they couldn't make any substantial progress. In the end, the matter became more and more serious. If the government didn't solve it, they would offend the public. In the end, a special team was set up to investigate again. Shi Shang, the instigator, appeared when the matter was in an uproar. Not many people knew about her disappearance. However, she was indeed not in Z City recently. Shi Shang directly said that she couldn't stand Ji Feng's abuse and ran away. There were still some old injuries on the original owner's body. It was easy to detect. Shi Shang easily cleared himself of suspicion. At the same time, he also received a lot of sympathy and tears. Ji Feng's assets were all confiscated. Shi Sheng didn't even get a house. He could only look for a place to live. When he finally found a small apartment and was about to move in, the owner suddenly told him that he didn't want to rent it anymore. He even refunded him double the amount. Shi Sheng held the money and stood outside the small apartment. He looked up at the sky. Rich people were so willful. He, a poor man, didn't even have a place to live now. Shi Sheng continued to look for a house. Maybe it was because of his bad luck, every time he saw a house for rent, it would be gone. Otherwise, he wouldn't rent it anymore. Honey's magical luck value. Shi Sheng sat in the square. The sky was low, and the neon lights were shining brightly. Children were playing in the distance. She was going to sleep on the streets today. Maybe she would meet a CEO and he would pick her up. Shi Sheng took out his phone. The screen was still showing the house for rent. The moment he entered, it automatically refreshed. Shi Sheng's hand paused. The home page showed a rental information. It was a duplex house with a big space. The owner of the house was in a hurry to go abroad. He needed to rent the house. The rent was a little expensive. He only wanted women to rent the house because the owner was afraid that men would destroy the things in the house. Shi Sheng secretly calculated her remaining savings and looked at the pictures of the house. He gritted his teeth. Rent. It was easy to make money. Poor Shang was online. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.